Ohio Center for Orofacial and Implant Surgery diagnoses and treats facial pain and injuries, and also offers a full range of dental implants and bone grafting procedures. Look no further than the Ohio Center for Orofacial and Implant Surgery for all of your oral surgery and cosmetic surgery needs. Please visit their website at www.ohsurgery.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to Geneva High School for today's CVC Spring Sports Media Day, the East version. Last week we started our Media Day events out at Independence High School. Today we're out at Geneva trying to reach our easternmost teams here in the conference. First up today is going to be the Edgewood baseball team and head coach Jeff Barger. Coach, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce the players you brought with you and then just kind of give us your elevator pitch. What can we expect out of the Warriors this spring?
Okay. I brought with me sophomore Logan Cray, junior Ethan Dietrich, and sophomore Brady Andrewjack. And overall, I'd say we're a pretty young bunch. We've got one senior starting, quite a few sophomores, and a couple of juniors. Coming off a fairly successful season last year, got a playoff win, lost in the playoffs to a really tough Canfield team. We're really excited about the season. The weather's been obviously an issue so far this year. But from what I've seen in our one game we've played so far, like what I see, we executed well. Just a couple of bounces of the ball went the wrong way, but other than that, we've got a lot of talent. We just got to put it all together for a good year.
We'll talk a little bit more about offense, defense, and all that good stuff, and some of the challenges and strengths that you have. But obviously, the biggest challenge is just getting out onto the field. And
Absolutely.
Obviously, most of last week was wiped out for everybody. You got one game in yesterday. I've got 3 inches of snow at my house, and it looks like rain all week. So how do you keep these guys just kind of motivated and inspired to go in and put in the work in a gym when they want to be out playing?
It's tough. We have one gym at basically our disposal, and one very small, basically hitting gym over at the middle school we can use sometimes. But as a coach, it gets very difficult coming up with new ways to keep it interesting and keep it fresh. Luckily, I've got a lot of ball players on this team, and so as far as inputting a lot of fundamental things and like that, they're ready to go. We can walk on the field at any time and be ready to go from a ball playing standpoint. Their IQ's high, that type of thing. The reps part of it, though, getting to see live pitching yesterday for the first time, really in a game situation, you could tell they had played 3 games and we had played 1. You could see that in the bat speed and recognition, that type of thing. But yeah, trying to get the guys to being from Texas, growing up and playing baseball in Texas my whole life, all the way through college, coming up to Northeast Ohio has been an interesting experience coaching, learning how to coach indoors. And I've really relied on my athletic director used to be the baseball coach at Edgewood and has lots of knowledge on indoor practicing, that type of thing. And my staff has really helped me out a lot in that aspect of just coming up with new ways to make it interesting when we do have to practice indoors, which obviously this year's been almost every day. We've had one actual practice on our field so far this year.
My Army roommate, he lives in San Angelo, Texas,
Okay, yep,
and his daughter plays softball. They've got 30 games in already, and we're trying to get our first one in. So he's always making fun of me, and it's he's saying,
tough.
"Hey,
it's different. It's different.
It definitely is." But yeah, you get used to it. You got to learn to adapt. And absolutely. So all right, I'll come back to you, Coach.
Okay.
We'll start out with the guys there. I believe that's Brady to your right.
Brady, yes, sir.
All right, Brady, go ahead. Just kind of introduce yourself again. Tell us what class you're in and what positions you play.
Brady Andrewjack. I play second and pitcher. I'm a sophomore this year.
So I'll start with you. Similar question. How challenging is it just kind of not being able to get outside and do those things, and just that adaptation you have to have practicing in a gym and trying to get ready to play?
It's tough because usually we're always in the gym because we live in Northeast Ohio. But it's tough when we play a game and then we have to go in the gym for a week like we may have to. So we just have to work, do some different things in the cage, do some different drills that we're not used to, just change it up so we keep interested. But I mean, we all like baseball, so when we know that we're going to play a game in a week, we can get to work.
How much fun was it yesterday just to kind of get out, even though a little bit colder, but the sun was out a little bit, so it couldn't have been too bad. But
It wasn't that bad, but we were playing baseball, so it was good.
right. And how'd things go? I mean, obviously, first time out there and, seeing live competition.
It was a little bit different. We didn't see live pitching for like a week or so. But it was just good playing baseball, and that was a good team. But for our first game, we played pretty good. Did some good stuff, but also stuff we need to work on.
And then just, from an individual perspective, what are you looking to accomplish this year?
I need to work on pitching more, improve, just get in mid-season form pitching-wise, and then just keep working hitting-wise, and seeing more live pitching will do that, and I'll get better with that.
Since you're one of the pitchers, talk about your pitching staff. Who are the guys that we can expect to chew up a lot of innings for Edgewood?
These two right next to me, Ethan and Logan, are our main two, and then me and Ben Welty will be our other two.
All righties? Any lefties mixed in there?
We have one lefty, Hunter Dragon, but mostly righties. Yep.
Okay. And what does that staff bring to the table? How confident you guys can get the job done?
These two are really good at the top of our rotation, so they'll be able to even complete some games by themselves, and then we have a very deep rotation behind them.
All right. And I'll come back to you in a moment, but let's slide to your right. That is Ethan, correct?
Yep, Ethan Dietrich here.
All right. And go ahead. What year and positions?
I'm a junior this year, and I'm a mainly pitcher, and then I'll play all around the infield, sometimes some outfield.
From last year to this year, what are the changes that you've seen out of the squad?
Well, we lost a lot of seniors last year, like the most seniors I've seen in a class in a while. So we're very young this year, a lot of sophomores, juniors mainly, only 2 seniors on the team. So really we're just trying to develop as a whole program and just get better overall after a pretty good year last year.
With a lot of young guys, who's kind of stepped up to provide the leadership and show everybody else how to take care of business on a daily basis?
We all we're all leaders on this team. We're all baseball players. We all have to step up at some point. So we really just rely on each other just to bounce back that leadership.
Looking at yesterday, what did you see out of the team?
We played pretty well as a whole. Couldn't get the bats going as well as we'd like to, but after not seeing live pitching for a while, that's what you expect. But we've got a lot of progress to make, but we've got a good starting point, so we're looking at a good season this year.
How difficult is it for a pitcher when you guys are in the gym? I mean, you're throwing, so whether it's outside or inside doesn't make much of a difference, but you're not throwing against live batters all that often, and if you are, it's the same guys that you've seen. So how difficult is that for you to prepare?
It's tough, but like every day last week, I would wake up and just expecting to pitch that day and then get canceled, and so I just have to change my routine every day. But it's what you have to do as a baseball player in Northeast Ohio. You just got to adapt.
Absolutely. All right, we'll slide down to your right. Logan, go ahead and introduce yourself. What class and what positions you play?
Logan Cray. I'm a sophomore. I mainly play first. I'll play some short, but I also pitch.
All right, and we've talked about the pitchers already, so give us a breakdown on the infield. Talk about the guys that are there and the strengths that you guys have as a unit.
Yeah, so we're pretty solid all the way around. We have a really young infield. I play first. Brady plays second. We have another sophomore at third, and then our only senior plays short. So we're relatively young, but we've been playing for a while, so we know what we're doing. In the gym, it's kind of hard getting in reps and knowing what's going on the field. But, we've done this for a while, so we're kind of ready for whatever.
You guys are in the Valley Division, correct?
I think, yeah.
Right. So you guys talked about being a young team. Well, Kirtland graduated a whole bunch of guys. They've had some injuries. Berkshire graduated a huge senior class. So those were the 2 teams that were the top of the division last year. So I think there's a youth movement overall. So, how do you guys feel about your chances to contend for a league title?
I think we have a pretty good chance. We still have the good teams in our division. But we've been playing for a really long time together. So we still have chemistry within our team, so we're ready to take on for the title, and hopefully we'll be competing for it.
What do you see as your team's overall strength, if there was one thing that you can rely on day in and day out?
I think we're pretty solid at pitching. I know we don't have to rely on anybody else to come in and have to worry about throwing strikes or anything like that. We're always pretty consistent with pitching. Our infield, we don't have that many errors. We had, I think, 2 CVC all mentions last year and 1 first team. So we're pretty solid in the infield, and then our outfield is still solid. So I think we're pretty overall team. We're pretty decent.
From the sounds of it, it sounds like maybe the weakness is just that overall youth movement that you have. How do you overcome that?
Well, it's going to be reps, but with the weather right now, it's kind of hard to get reps in.
Right.
So the more time we play outside, the more time we get on a field, it'll be easy for us, but I think we'll be ready.
And then when you look at the postseason, you guys are Division II? Right, right. How do you prepare for those teams? You don't get to see too many of them throughout the season since you're playing in the CVC Valley Division, which is mostly Division III schools. How do you prepare for that other competition that you'll see?
We prepare the same for every game. We don't really overlook any other teams, so we play our best as we can in every other team and just expect us to play against the best teams we can. We don't really look at the other teams as like being like below us. We always want to think that they're better than they are, and we just play as the best we can.
And then just as I close out with you, what are your individual goals this year? And then also, what are you hoping the team can accomplish?
So last year I was first team All-CVC, so I hope to be about the same thing. I'm going to be moved around the infield, so it's going to be a little bit harder. But for the team, I'd like to stay above 500. I know last year we were around there. Obviously, compete for the CVC title, and then make a couple wins into our tournament, get as far as we can.
All right, and let's go back to Ethan. Same question to end with you. What kind of individual goals do you have, and what are your team goals?
I'm just hoping to improve overall as a player this year, with my pitching and hitting. And then as a team, we made 1 playoff win last year, which was a pretty good team, and then against Canfield, which ended up going all the way to the championship. So just hopefully get a couple more wins in the playoffs, go as far as we can, and just improve as much as we can.
And then Canfield was ranked number 1 or number 2 throughout the season. So you get them in your bracket. You've got to come out and play your best. But what do you learn playing a team like that? Even though you came up on the short end, I mean, what did it tell you guys about what you need to do to improve?
Well, playing against them, we were able to see we can compete with them just as much as any other team. So we just realized we can go as far as they can, as anyone else can. So got as much as a chance to win conference, win the playoffs. So.
And it's baseball. The ball bounces funny for everybody, so you never know. All right, Brady, back to you. What are your goals individually and as a team for this season?
Individually, just to get better all around pitching and field hitting wise, and then as a team, like they said, just win a couple games in the playoffs and compete for a CVC title.
And just going back to Canfield, playing a team that was that highly ranked all season long. How did you guys approach that game? And I mean, was there any ever doubt that you were I don't know, they're just too good? Or you guys? It sounds like your teammates are talking. You guys just went in thinking, hey, we've got a shot, and gave it your best effort.
Yeah, I mean, just prepared like any other team, and through first couple innings, it was close, and then they pulled away at the end, but. Same time, it was humbling because they're really good. It was also a confidence boost that we can stay with a team like that.
Right, and I think that's the way you have to look at it. Is anytime you go out, even if you lose, you have to take away some positives, and just being able to compete and hold your own for a bit. That should bode well for a young team, especially.
Yep.
All right, Coach, back to you. We talked a little bit about pitching. We talked a little bit about the infield. Let's start with the outfield.
Okay.
Who do you have out there, and what do you like about that group?
Right now, I've got a freshman in left that started yesterday in Zane Naylor, and then I've got a junior in center, Zach Vinsel, and then a sophomore in right in Drew Laughter. Pretty good speed overall out there. Some inexperience. The 2 corner outfielders, this is be their first real varsity time. Zach played left for me last year. He's been part of the sophomore bunch. These guys have been playing travel together for a while, and they've always played up, and that's one advantage we've had. That's why even last year, like against Canfield, we know they're a program. I mean, they had 3 guys with sub-1 ERAs going into
Ouch.
it. The kid that we faced in the game is going to Ohio State. So they're legit. I mean, they're absolutely legit. They're a program. They're a factory, and we knew that. But I had a freshman starting last year on the mound against that kid, and he held his own. We missed a play in the first inning, or we get out of that inning scoreless, and he went 2 scoreless after that. Just got too many pitches in that first inning after the error, and it was a routine play. We just didn't make it, but it was with a freshman and at that position as well. So we learned a lot in that game, I think. And like Brady said, they did what they were supposed to do once the game wore on, and they were Canfield. But I think us competing the way we did those first couple of innings really let these guys see what their potential is. We're not there. We're nowhere near Canfield right now, but seeing that potential with these guys is definitely there. There's a lot of talent with this ball club, and it's like Logan said, it's kind of, we just got to get the reps in. That's where we're at.
When you've got this young team and you see them go out and compete the way they did against Canfield,
Right.
How do you build off that? How do you get them this year just to say, hey, you guys lost that game, but you have to realize what you were able to accomplish against them?
I think with a group that's this talented, you've got to be real careful about overcoaching. You're tweaking more than anything at this point. Just trying to basically transfer knowledge from what you learned when you played. Outside of that, it's just a matter of them going out and executing and learning things, and seeing different styles, seeing different pitching, different situations. They've seen a lot coming up to as much ball as they've played, but it's different when you go from playing people a year older than you to playing 3 years older than you, and that's what they learned last year. Well, that gap's shrinking each year as they get older. And so that I think I've seen that already this year in the way they carry themselves on the field. The big eyes and bright lights are over. It's just going out and playing ball again, even when we're going against the kid that threw for Niles yesterday. Was a pretty solid lefty, but there wasn't a bit of intimidation from anybody on my team. Even my freshman that was getting his first at bats looks pretty comfortable out there, and that's exciting for a coach to see that your guys, the game isn't too big for them, and it's exciting to see what the potential. Now we have to go execute, of course, but there's some potential with this bunch for sure, especially down the road.
And then when you look at a team that only has 2 seniors, you can look at it as a negative or you can look at it as a positive and
Right.
say, okay, well, we're gaining a lot of experience. Whatever we can accomplish this year, we're going to try and do that. But looking at the future, it looks pretty bright,
absolutely.
too.
And obviously, like these guys said, our goal is to win the CVC this year. I mean, we know we're probably not the favorite, but if we don't go into the season thinking that, then we're wasting our time. And then to go further and deeper into the playoffs. Ethan throws a complete game in round 1 against Connie out last year, against a really good lefty for those guys, and got us into round 2. And then Logan comes out as a freshman and throws well in round 2. So, I think we have the potential to go deeper into the playoffs this year. We've got to execute, and we've got to build off the regular season a little better than we did last year, I think.
Well, the preseason coaches poll should come out this week, and based I can't remember all the numbers, but based on what I do remember, you guys are one of the top 2 or 3 teams there that everybody, they know what you did last year, they know what you had coming back, so you've got some high praise from the other coaches so far. So
we appreciate that.
Yep. But, I appreciate you guys making the trip out today, and hopefully we'll get some games in this week.
Absolutely.
And best of luck to you guys all throughout the spring.
All right, we appreciate it, and thanks for having us for sure.
No problem. Thank you. That was the Edgewood Warriors baseball team here at the CVC Media Day East version. Up next, we've got the Edgewood boys tennis team. So we'll have back-to-back Edgewood teams here. But, gentlemen, thank you again, and appreciate you making the trip. Once again, this is the CVC Spring Sports Media Day East version. We're live from Geneva High School. Our CVC TV events are all sponsored and presented by Ohio's Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery. We'll hear more about them throughout the broadcast here today. But we couldn't do anything that we do with CVC TV without our friends over there. But happy to have them as our presenting sponsor. And next up, we've got the Edgewood boys tennis team. Coach Renee Matson, correct? All right. Gentlemen, there's a black switch on your microphones when it's your turn to talk. Just be sure you flip that up and then flip it down when you're not using that microphone. Coach, I'm going to start with you. Just go ahead and introduce yourself, introduce the athletes you brought with you, and then give us your elevator pitch. What can we expect out of Edgewood this season?
This is Vinny DeGeorge, Robbie DeGiacomo, and Evan Rantanen. And we're basically a really young team, all sophomores and freshmen, and I'm expecting better things.
Uh, Being a young team in the CVC isn't ideal because there are some really good tennis teams in the conference. How do you kind of get those kids ready to play such a challenging schedule?
Just a lot of like challenge matches and playing against each other usually.
Okay. Let's swing down. I believe that's Vinny to your right. Is that okay? Vinny, we're going to start with you. Go ahead, introduce yourself, what grade you're in, and which position on the tennis team you're playing, whether it's first singles, second singles, etc.
Yeah, I'm second singles right now. Is Vinny DeGeorge, and yeah,
What grade?
11th grade.
Junior,
Or
okay.
10th grade. My bad. Got a little mixed up, but yeah.
It's all right. So coming in as a young team, how is things coming together so far in the preseason?
I like how it's going so far, honestly. I think that we're already a lot better since last year, and since we're all so young, we have a lot of room to improve. So I'm just excited. I think we'll be better this year, and even better next year, and even better next year.
Have you guys gotten any matches in with the weather?
Yeah, we got 2 matches so far, and it's already like those 2 matches went a lot better than they would have last year, and I could see everybody doing better.
What did you play last year?
I played third singles.
And what kind of year did you have?
I mean, I had an all right season. As a team, we didn't do too great, but I think we have a fuller team now, and I think it'll just go better.
And then just looking at last year to this year, where have you improved?
I think I've just improved, like, in general, like with my shot and everything, my serve. I think everything's just better, and with my mentality a lot. We all struggle with that. With staying in our own head and trying to just not, go off track and get angry. So, I'm already doing better, and they are too. So.
Aside from the 2 guys you have at the table with you, talk about some of your other teammates. Who are the other athletes and tennis players that we're going to hear about?
Well, we have some like good teammates. They're all freshmen, I think. Well, most of them are. Our new players are freshmen, and they're honestly pretty good. They keep up with us, and they add a lot to the team. They make it a lot like easier. We have a really good doubles team now because of our freshmen. So yeah, it's just they add a lot.
When you look at the competition in the CVC, like I said, there are some really good teams in there. Chagrin Falls and Orange both won some state titles last year. So, coming back, it's a stacked conference. How does that help, even though you guys are younger, but how does it help you develop as players?
I mean, I think, having like a full team helps us, especially because we're all friends, even like freshmen. We've, started a little like friend group, I guess. And I don't know, I think it's good. I think it's something that not a lot of teams have. It's a good bond between everybody. So I think it honestly helps us play better too.
And what do you see as the biggest challenges that you and your team face this spring?
Our mentality, and like just trying not to get worked up. It's hard to lose, but you just got to get over it, understand that it's just a game, and understand that you'll play better if you don't get in your own head. So.
Sounds good. Let me slide that over. I believe Robbie's in the middle there. Is that right? Okay, Robbie, go ahead. Just tell us, introduce yourself, what class you're in, and what position you're playing on the team.
My name is Robbie. Robbie, you can call me whatever, but I'm first singles for the team, and I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore playing first singles, or some pressure attached to that. How are you handling that?
We've had 2 matches so far. I'm doing very good. So far. I like the challenge, and at the top is where I feel I do best.
What are your strengths as a player? What do you bring to the court?
Well, I never give up, and I always love a challenge. So that's something good I bring to the court.
Being a first singles player, like I said, it comes with some pressure. You're that ace of the team, going against the other team's better players. But then you also have some leadership components that have to follow with that, being that ace of the team, and you're only a sophomore. How are you handling that?
I'm handling it pretty well. Like Vinny said, we're all friends here. Nobody here looks down at another person. We all find each other good friends, no matter our position on the team, and we play really good with that.
being a sophomore, first singles player, you're going to face some challenges. What are those, and how do you kind of overcome them?
You overcome them by giving your best every single time you play. And I never come into a match thinking I'm going to lose. I never come into a match thinking I'm going to lose. I always think I'm going to win. And if I lose, then it's on to the next match. But you got to give your best and stay as confident as you can. And like Vinny talked about, you can't get in your head, because that is really going to bring you down in tennis.
Win or lose, every match you want to take something away from it. How do you do that, whether you win or lose? What's the process that you use to say, okay, here's what I did well, here's what I did poorly, and here's what I need to improve on? How do you process all of that?
Well, I always think about it after I'm done with the match. I always know. I never have to think about it, really. I just always, as soon as it's over, whether I win or lost, I think, oh, this is what I did good, this is what I did bad. And I think about it. Like, for example, our last match. I know exactly what I did wrong, and I'm going to use that to help me with our next match.
All right, and let's slide down to your teammate there, Evan. Evan, go ahead, introduce yourself. What grade are you in, and what position on the team you're filling?
I'm in 10th grade, and right now I'm on first doubles.
Doubles is fun. You get to play with somebody else, so usually if things go wrong, you can blame the other guy, right? Is that how it works?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. Who's your doubles partner?
Mason Feather.
And
He's a
what
freshman.
freshman? Okay, I remember him. He must run cross country or something like that. I remember the
he's in
name.
golf.
Golf. That's what. Okay.
Really, really good
Go-
golf.
Yeah, I just remember the name. So good. Challenges that you're facing this year. What are they?
Right now, it's mainly just keeping a positive mentality for me, and I've been performing that on the court, and always being positive towards my teammate, and no matter if it's a bad shot, whatever, it's the next point.
You're a young guy. Mason's a young guy, and here you are playing doubles together. How do you communicate and make it all work, and just to know that each guy's in the right spot at the right time?
Usually we just play kind of like standard. One person's at the net, one person's back. But sometimes if we do need to, if we think it's a good option, before a point we could conversate about what we think we should do, like both at the net, both back, or we can alternate, switch, whatever, just all that stuff. Like communicate it like that way, or during a point.
When you look at all the competition that's in the CVC, as I said, it's a really good tennis conference. How do you take that challenge of playing good teams like that and turn it into a positive?
Well, it's always good to play players that are on your skill level or better than you, because it gets you better. So, and always get go in there, even if they're better, then you always think that you're gonna win, and it's really shown out so far. So we're doing well.
Last year you were a freshman. Who are the upperclassmen or even some of the younger kids that you learned from to kind of take in and approach the season this year?
Well, last year, yeah.
So it was still just a bunch of freshmen together?
Yeah, it was me, Rob, and Vinny just in singles last year.
So you guys were just thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'd say it's a good thing, because it's always to go up against challenge and stuff. It gets you better, faster when you go against really good players.
So you guys are all in a position where you could really just develop a legacy of Edgewood tennis, and how appealing is that to you?
It's pretty awesome.
You get to write your own chapter and see how that goes.
Yes.
All right. So what kind of goals do you have individually and for your team this spring?
Our main goal is to just probably try our best and just go out there with everything on the court, and if we get a win, then that's awesome. If we lose, it's the next match.
All right, I'm going to slide back over to Robbie. Kind of same question about the legacy. That's all I say it all the time. One of the things that I always think in high school sports is you want to leave things better than when you found it, and you guys are on track to do that as freshmen that had to basically be team leaders. So you're developing the legacy, and how important is that to you?
It's very important to me. I love tennis a lot. It's probably my favorite thing to do, and ever since last year, not to bring it up, but we did go defeated as a team, and I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. It was a good learning experience for us, and as soon as the off season came, all three of us were working for a long time going through it, and I feel like we really could be the most improved team this year, possibly. And I want people to think of Edgewood tennis and not come into a match thinking, all right, well, we're just going to come sweep these guys and go home and party or whatever, because it's not going to be like that anymore. It's not going to be like that anymore.
I love it. What's going to be different? I mean, how do you take being all defeated last year, for you this year? Are you looking for 2 wins, 4 wins, 6 wins? What's going to be success to you?
I'm looking to win. I don't expect to lose any matches. If I lose a match, I lose a match. But I have no plans to go 500 or something. That's a pretty good goal, but I'm not gonna think that I'm ever gonna lose. But if I lose, I feel like 500 would be something nice, just to go 50%. But I'm gonna try my best every match, and if it was up to me, I would be winning every match because I don't want to lose ever.
It doesn't sound like any of the sophomores are saying, well, I'm only a sophomore, I've got 2 more years. You guys want that success now.
No. Yeah, I mean, we've put so much hard work and time into this. So have our parents and family. We take lessons too, and we love the sport, and we have fun doing it, and we want to win because it's not fun losing.
Good stuff. Vinny, back to you. What kind of goals do you have for yourself individually and also for the squad?
Just to do better than we did last year, honestly. I think seeing any improvement is a goal of mine, My goal is to win every match, obviously, but, it's if I see improvement, then I see that as a goal that I've achieved, because I think that we're already doing better. So, I'm already seeing some goals get checked off, and yeah.
Same question I asked earlier is win or lose, how do you process what happened and take away something that can help you improve as a player?
You just got to, see the good in losses, and, even if you lose, it could be a close game. It could, you could have nice shots. The other guy could just be better, have a good day, or you could just have an off day. But you just got to see the pros and not the cons. And when you look at the cons, you got to still look at them in a positive light and think, okay, I didn't suck at doing this. I can improve on doing this,
I love the honesty. Outstanding. The legacy question. I mean, you guys get to write your own book here, and how cool is that? And what do you hope that legacy turns into?
It's sweet, honestly. Without us, there wouldn't be a tennis team. We're a young team. We all started, last year, a couple of years ago. My first year was last year. I was brand new to it. So it's just we can all start and grow together, and we are the team. So it's really nice to grow together and start from the bottom up and watch us go and get better and better and win matches and have our own legacy as Edgewood's tennis team.
Outstanding. Coach, back to you. I got a couple more questions for you. First, you can go into a season and say, oh, I've got a bunch of young kids, but when you hear what these guys are saying and just the way that they've got that mentality that they want to go out and win, they're not worried about being young guys. How cool is that to you?
It's pretty cool, because last year it was a little bit of a concern, because they're freshmen being thrown into first singles, second singles, third singles against schools that are, more experienced.
Right.
So it was a bit tough, but I think it's helped overall, and they're much better at it this year, so we don't have any, problems.
Right. And so we talked about the gentleman here at the table. Who else are you counting on this year to put in some work and win some matches for you?
Well, we only have 7 players. I'm going to try to think of them, and I'm hopefully going to do it successfully. All right. Not here. We have Mason Feather, Noah Venzel, Joseph Painter, and Jacob Hoff.
How many Venzels are there?
There are so many.
There are. We were just talking to baseball. There's a Venzel. I know Jordan Venzel, and there's a couple on the basketball team. So, wow. All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yep. So, yeah, go ahead and complete your roster there.
That was it.
Oh, okay.
That was
That's
the
your
entire
7.
roster. Yeah.
Perfect. And then just lastly, how are you going to define success? I mean, obviously, everyone dreams of winning a state title, district title, conference title, those kinds of things. But for you, what's success going to entail?
For me, it's not about, winning matches per se. I don't go in thinking, if you don't win, we're done. I look at it as improvement. So already, with same thing they said, as long as there's improvement in every match, we're doing good and we're successful. We haven't had any, I guess, anger issues so far, which was a big problem for us last year. But we're doing good with our mentality and we're getting close to winning. No match has been like a total blowout. They're all doing great, and as long as they continue to improve in their game and their mentality, it's success. So
Great. All right. Well, that is the Edgewood Warriors tennis team here. Coach Matson, appreciate you all making the long trip. Glad we could get an East version out here so you guys don't have to travel quite as far. But thank you for coming out and joining us here and giving us a preview of the team. And best of luck to you this spring. Thanks. That was the Edgewood Warriors here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day. Next up are the Cardinal Huskies softball team, head coach Haley Adams. Thanks, guys. They'll be joining us here in just a moment. Once again, we're live. Well, actually, we're not live. We're being recorded. We had some internet issues out here at Geneva, so we are recording and we'll upload later. And apologize for that inconvenience, but our media day here is provided by Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery. We'll learn a little bit more about them shortly. But first up, we're going to talk to the Huskies. I believe they are 1-1 on the season, had a win earlier in the week, and fell to Chagrin Falls yesterday, but head coach Haley Adams. Ladies, there is a black switch on your microphone. When it's your turn to speak, just flip that up. Otherwise, keep it down so we cut back that ambient noise. Coach, I'm going to let you introduce the athletes you brought with you and then give us your elevator pitch. And Haley, it's nice to see you. I think the last time I saw you, you were on this side of the camera with me, so you've done a lot of broadcasting for us here on CVC TV. Always good to have you there. Nice to see you coaching back at your alma mater, though. But Haley Adams, go ahead and introduce your players and then give us your elevator pitch.
Yeah, so sitting to my right here is senior first baseman and catcher Megan Earhart, and then we have junior Haley Keller, who also is a first baseman and a catcher. Obviously, one of our biggest struggles this season is just the low numbers again. So our goal is just to teach some of these girls who have been playing for their first year, really 1 month, just the basics of the game. So that's kind of where we're at now. And I think our first 2 games of the season have been a good start for us. We have that opportunity that they're not being thrown in against conference opponents. So that's kind of been a plus for us. And obviously my athletic director, Jimmy Saltis, allowed me to really schedule some games that are at our competitive level. And we're excited to experience some of those games this season.
You've got a lot of young players that are thrown into the fire, and it's only fitting because last year you were thrown into the fire. I think you started out maybe as a part-time assistant, and then it was an assistant, and then at the last minute, hey, Haley, we need you as the head coach. So you were kind of thrown into that. And how different was this preseason compared to last, where you were, oh my gosh, we've got all this stuff to do, and you were thrown into the last minute. Now you had a little bit of time to prepare. How different was it?
So actually this past fall and winter, we had the ability to have some open gyms and skill lessons. Actually, one of our freshmen, she's our starting third baseman, we were just talking about that on our way up, was really committed. And did a great job of showing up to those. Obviously, again, a small school, so we have both of them were involved in basketball season. Haley Doman, who is a pitcher for us, was also involved in basketball season. So that was a little bit tough, but like I said, we got some of the athletes around that didn't play a fall or winter sport, so they had a chance to be a little bit active, and that was nice for us because once we started spring season, it wasn't so much conditioning and lifting, but we could focus on the basics of the game of softball.
One of the issues going back to when I covered you as a player, you guys have struggled in the circle. You just haven't had one of those dominant pitchers. I don't think you've had the same pitcher for more than, a season. And that obviously has affected you. And you've got a player like Haley Doman, who's just a great athlete. You throw her into the circle because she's just got that athletic ability. But they struggle, a lot of walks and things like that, but you've never had trouble in the field. You don't have trouble producing runs, just like yesterday. You scored 13 runs in the 4th inning there, but because I think you had 22 walks, and that's a struggle. How do you kind of work around that? I mean, you can't obviously just develop a pitcher in a matter of weeks, but how do you work around it?
So, obviously that's one of our weaknesses. like we mentioned, senior Haley Doman. We were at the beginning of the season trying to figure out if she was going to play or not because she does have that torn ACL. She opted out of having surgery, decided that she does want to finish out her senior career. And so a pitcher, I mean, for those that know the game of softball, a lot of it comes from the power in your hips and in your legs. So she's really using one leg to push off the mound. Not only that, but she's also throwing for track. So she's at dual athlete during the spring, and she, I mean, is very sore. And we have Morgan Saltis, a sophomore, teaching her how to pitch in 1 month is difficult. And for a lot of people that understand the game, you can't make a pitcher in a month. A pitcher, you know, starts at a very young age, and I give Morgan a lot of credit for coming out and, you know, stepping up and saying, hey, I want to do this for my team. I want to learn how to do this. And I'm hoping by the end of the season, she'll build some confidence and some momentum heading into her junior season.
Absolutely, and if you can, you know, get a girl that can just throw strikes, and
Right.
you've got the defense and you've got the offensive ability. So if you can just cut back on those walks,
Right.
you become a competitive team almost overnight. So, all right, Megan, let's slide over to you and talk to you a little bit. Go ahead and introduce yourself, what class you're in, what positions you play, and then I'll throw some questions at you, all tough ones.
So I'm Megan Earhart. I play first base, and I'm also a catcher, and I'm a senior on the softball team.
So for you, senior year, you've gone through a couple different coaches. You haven't had one of those pitchers that you need, but you guys still go out. You have a lot of fun. You're still competitive. You still can put in the runs. What is it about the team that you can overcome that one glaring weakness that the program has had?
I think it's just us playing as a team is like a big part of it.
How different is it this year having Coach Adams now for that off season, where last year it was just kind of like you expected a different coach, and then the season starts and here comes Coach Adams, saving the day.
I feel like we have a better relationship with the coach now because we've had her for 2 years, and last year it was a little difficult transitioning her into how we play because we were taught a little differently than she's teaching us, but the way that she's come around to teaching us really affected it.
And being a catcher, she was a great catcher, went on to
Yes.
play at Hiram.
She's helped me a lot with doing it, saying that this is my second year? Second year as a catcher. She's really helped me in a lot of ways.
And I can tell you from back in the day covering her for 4 years, she's the kind of catcher that you want to emulate because she was always dirty. She was always hustling. She would beat the batter down to first base. I mean, that kind of thing. So when she's telling you and coaching you, listen, because she did it right. But talk about your infield since you're a first baseman catcher. Who else is out there, and talk about that group and how they're coming together.
So at second field, we have second base, we have Elena Rupinski. She helps the team out a lot. At shortstop, we have Kelsey Collins, and at third, we have Kaylee. And I feel like between all of us, we have a very, very good relationship with each other to where we can rely on each other to go after balls and make sure that we know where the plays are and everything.
As infielders, almost after every pitch, you kind of collect around the pitcher, whether it's a ball, strike, hit, whatever. You guys have to give those pitchers some moral support because they're out there doing everything that they can despite, not having that experience that they need in the circle. How do you kind of do that while you're, it's kind of hard when you're walking and it's kind of like that merry-go-round and everyone kind of loses focus a little bit. How do you stay focused and how do you keep that pitcher knowing that, hey, you're struggling, but we've got your back?
We just let the pitcher know that, you just pitch it, let us deal with it after it comes off the bat. That's like the most important thing that we realized coming into this season is, we're going to struggle with some pitches, but if you trust your outfield and infield, you should be pretty good this year. So.
All right, I'm going to come back to you, Megan. We're going to go down there to Haley. Haley, go ahead, introduce yourself, what class you're in, and what positions you play.
Haley Keller. I'm a first baseman and catcher, and I'm a junior.
You said you're a first baseman and a catcher, but you left out the one really important thing you do. You're a softball masher. What was your batting average last year? It was like 6 something? Or was it
like 509?
I believe 590 in conference play and 600 overall.
Yeah, so you mashed the ball, and obviously you enjoy swinging the bat. What led to your success last season?
I don't know.
You play all year round.
Yeah, I play travel ball, so I don't know. I practice literally year round. So
What's the best part of your game? Do you think you're a better hitter than you are a fielder?
definitely think I'm better at hitting now than I used to be, but I don't know. I really don't know.
When you look at, we've talked about the pitching issue that Cardinal has struggled through. It's tough, but when you guys produce, like I said, yesterday you scored 13 runs in 4 innings, so you have the offensive ability. How do you kind of just keep that going and just get everybody on the team to start swinging the bat the same way?
Last year it took us a while to get our bats warmed up. It was towards the end of the game where we even started hitting. I feel like it helps us since we hit earlier in the game now, so we can keep getting runs as they're scoring also.
You're a junior, but I have to imagine everybody on the team kind of looks up to you because of the success that you've had. How do you kind of handle that burden of being a team leader as well?
I feel like we just need to keep motivating everybody else to try their best. And with them looking up to me, I have to try my best to get them to try their best. So if I don't try, then they're not going to try.
Megan talked about the infield. Even though you're an infielder catcher too, I'm going to let you talk about the outfield. Who do you guys have out there?
Left field, we got Maddie Miller. Center, we have Micaiah Gillespie. Right field, we have Hannah Hansen and Jasmine Newman. She plays outfield too.
And I believe just based on the names, they're all young.
Yes. Well, Maddie's a senior.
Okay.
And
So.
then Micaiah's a junior. 2 juniors and a sophomore.
And how do you get that group to stay focused and develop as players?
It all comes back to trying and practice. You have to give it your all in order to get better and to become a better player.
Offensively, who's got the big sticks?
Megan, Elena, she can hit. I feel like everybody on the team can hit if they want to and try. So there really is no singling anyone out.
The thing that stuck out to me, obviously you guys had that win earlier in the week, and then yesterday, tough loss to Chagrin Falls. But what stuck out to me is you guys were in a huge hole, and there was no quit. You guys came back in the 4th inning. You scored 13 runs. What drives that, where it's so much easier to just say, we're getting killed, let's go home, and we'll play next week. But what drove that for you guys just to not give up?
I feel like it's because when you actually start hitting the ball, you have fun doing it and not sitting around being bored. So you start hitting the ball and the game's fun and you're all cheering and all excited.
It's fun mashing the ball, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I'll leave you with this. What are your goals this year, individually and for your team?
I think we all need to try and get better as a team, so I'm hoping to win a lot more games.
What's your individual goal? We've talked about this.
To get better.
To get better.
To control my attitude.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's important. If other girls on the team are looking up to you, you've got to do things the right way, no matter whether you're disappointed, frustrated. You've just got to always be the leader. All right, Megan, back to you. Same question. What are your individual goals and team goals?
I'd have to say my individual goal is being a senior that people can come up to and talk and ask questions, so that I can help them understand the game more, because with having many younger girls on the team and people that just started playing this year, it's a little difficult for them. And then my team goal would probably be play more as a team. We do play as a team, but I feel like that there's way more that we can play as a team.
All right, Coach, back to you. Anyone that we didn't talk about? Who are some of the girls that have impressed you early in the season, and who are some of the girls we haven't mentioned that will be contributing?
Yeah, so as Megan talked a little bit about our infield, obviously Elena Rupinski, now a second baseman. She had that shoulder injury during the off season. So the overhand throwing was something that she wasn't able to do. So Coach Richter really worked with her with that sidearm and underhand and glove flip. And she's a staple. And as the conversation we had coming up this afternoon, I would like to see her become a little bit more of a vocal leader. I can see that she can play by example and be that leader by example. Now I wish she would get a little bit more vocal, hold her teammates accountable. And then we look at Kelsey Collins. This is her first year. She's got a big role at shortstop with Doman going out. But she's a perfectionist, and I really like that from her. And she's always asking, how can I get better? What types of things do I need to work on? And then we looked, Kaylee Duncan, a freshman. Again, she's at third base, so that's the hot corner for her. But she's very quiet, and you can see that in her. But once she got a couple balls hit to her at her first varsity game on Wednesday, you could kind of see the nerves start to come out a little bit. And like I said, Micaiah Gillespie, our returning center fielder, she does really well taking charge out there in center field. As you mentioned, a lot of new members and new faces in the outfield, and she does a good job of really taking command out there and making sure she's vocal and communicating. And then obviously these two, we talked a lot about Keller and her performance at home plate. And I know I talked to you during our preview. She's got 2 school records right now for hits and RBIs, and then tied for runs scored and doubles. So I'm hoping maybe we can accomplish some more records this upcoming season. And then Megan, we talked a lot about her. Again, in our preview, we talked a little bit about some of the things that we fixed for her hitting, a couple things. And she had one of the harder jobs last year, too, following Haley Keller behind her, and we moved them both up in the batting order this year to help us produce some runs, and so far it's worked.
And then lastly, how are you going to define success this season?
The coaching staff and I talked a lot about this. For us, it's teaching the game of softball, so even making it a full game, 7-inning game, I think that'll be a success for us this season. And just their attitudes. I know we've talked a lot about that, but unfortunately, it can be demoralizing sometimes losing, and losing as bad as we have in the past. But just being confident and looking, I think, for the younger girls, looking up to our older and upperclassmen of never giving up.
Outstanding. Appreciate you guys making the trip. I'm glad to see you already got that first win out of the way. Sometimes that's the hardest one to get, and keep that mentality going, keep the bats working, and hopefully your pitchers can develop and get you guys into some games. But glad you can make the trip. Haley, always nice to see you. Appreciate you coming out. That was the Cardinal Huskies softball team out here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day East. Next up, we're going to have the Geneva baseball team. Ladies, appreciate it, and good luck to you. So next up here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day are the Geneva Eagles baseball team. Give them a moment to take the hot seat here. Once again, I am Steve Hare, the CVC Sports Information Director out here at Geneva High School. Our event today is presented by Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery. Couldn't have CVC TV without them, so very pleased to have them as our sponsor once again this season. And now that the Eagles are in place, I'm going to go ahead. Coach Roger Wilt. Yes, sir. All right. Gentlemen, there's a little black switch on your microphones. When it's your turn to talk, just flip that up and then flip it down when you're done. Coach, I'm going to let you introduce the players you brought with you and then give us your elevator pitch. What can we expect out of the Eagles this spring?
Okay, so today we've got Jack, Wyatt, and Hewitt. This year, we're really looking forward to get outside. We've only been out 3 times for 3 scrimmages. It's northeastern Ohio weather, and we're all going to end up at a point where we're probably playing every day for the last couple weeks of the season. So we've had guys that have been coming into over break and since late fall, 10, 12 guys coming into open gyms. So these guys have been really putting in the work, and really looking forward to seeing what they have once the season starts.
Outstanding. We'll get started right on the players. Go ahead and introduce yourself, what grade you're in, and what positions you play.
I'm Jack Farrow. I'm a center fielder and a junior.
We'll get you guys there. Jack, first off, I know it's tough with the weather. How do you guys stay motivated and inspired to just go out and work hard even though you're in a gym?
You just show up to practice. I mean, you think got to get ahead of the other teams. If you want to win games, you got to put in the work. So that's what we do every day.
And just looking at last year to this year, what's been different?
It's like we all want to be there sometimes. So I think we're more motivated to win games. We were 8-12-1 last year. We think it's realistic that we can win every single game in our schedule. There's not a single team that is significantly better than us in our opinion. So we're just going to show up and try to win as many games as possible.
From a player's perspective, strengths of the team?
Definitely pitching, fielding, and then, hitting. I think we're pretty consistent throughout the entire lineup. I don't know if there's really many holes. So if we can hang up 5 runs and throw some scoreless baseball, I think we're going to be pretty good this year.
You're an outfielder. I'll let you give us the preview on the squad out there in the grass. Give me a breakdown. Who's in left, center, and right, and talk about how that group's gelling.
We got Curtis Mayer. He's going to be in right. He's pretty quick, got a good arm. He was probably going to be in left. And then Wyatt, I don't know if you're going to be in the outfield this year.
This guy. No, we've got 5 or 6 guys that are going to play outfield depending on who's pitching, and we've got guys. We did a questionnaire at the beginning of the season, said what positions do you guys think you can play, and most players circled 4, 5, 6 positions. So to have guys that are able to play everywhere makes my job easy when it comes into part to putting on the schedule.
Oh, definitely in high school baseball, you have to have that versatility, especially when you mentioned that, you're probably going to play almost every day, for the rest of the season thanks to the weather. So you need guys that can step in and play different roles.
Right.
All right, Jack, talk about yourself. What do you bring to the table?
I like to think I'm pretty quick in the outfield. Pretty good defender, I think. Make a lot of contact at the plate. Not a lot of pop, but I'll get on base for you.
And then when you look at the CVC, we've got a lot of good teams out there. Who are some you enjoy playing against the most?
A lot of the local teams, because we know those guys, so it's more kind of like a rivalry. So I think those games are pretty fun, gets rubbed in a little bit.
The bragging rights?
Right.
Yeah. And you probably play summer ball with a bunch of guys, too, that go to different schools. So, yeah. All right, when you look at, the Eagles this year, what are the weaknesses and how do you guys plan to overcome them?
I don't necessarily know that we have weaknesses. I mean, there's departments where we're not as strong as others, but I mean, really, we're a pretty well-rounded team this year.
And what's it going to take to achieve your goals?
We got to stay motivated. We got to keep our heads in the game. We got to focus. I mean, last year focus was an issue. We'd get down and then we'd lose focus. We're not scoring runs. So if we can keep our heads in the game, like I said, there's not a game where it's unwinnable on our schedule.
All right, I'm going to come back to you, but let's slide over to Wyatt. Wyatt, I've heard a lot about you over the last couple of years. So, obviously you come in as one of the players to watch in the conference. How different are you this year as a player compared to last year?
The last year I've grown a lot. Last year I came in kind of banged up. I didn't really throw at all for the first half of the year. I didn't even pitch until halfway through the season. But that last summer was like one of the best summers of my life. Like I grew a lot as a pitcher, mainly. And finally got to figure out where I'm going to school. So it's been just a lot of growth in the last year, and I think I've learned how to handle myself on the mound and just how to be a better player overall.
Ace of the staff, right?
Hey, you said it, I didn't. I
like it. But talk about the pitchers. Obviously, you're there. You're one of those guys that everyone in the conference is aware of, so they're going to come in expecting to see you in that first game of the week or the first game of that series. Mm-hmm. But who else is going to chew up some innings for the Eagles?
We got this guy right here. He's a good little pitcher, I think. We got Curtis Meyer. He throws hard and throws a lot of strikes. I think that's my favorite thing about him. He throws really good, pounds the zone. Jack's here too. He throws really good, pounds the zone also. We got Clay Queen. He's kind of like one of those guys you can bring in late in the game, get you a couple outs. Shea Arkenberg's another really good one. He's a good young player who can also just dominate a game if you give him the chance to, And there's definitely more I'm forgetting. I don't even know. We have a big staff, so I think everybody can get it done. And I think even like those guys who aren't going to throw as much are very useful in our staff because they'll get outs. I think that's what I like most about our staff.
As a pitcher, it's routine. You've got to have that routine. And when you're throwing in a gym because of the weather and you're not getting out, you're not getting the innings that you expect to get, how difficult is that and how do you work around it?
It is kind of tough, but I try to stay regimented because I know I'm going to have to, in college and stuff, like I'm going to have to stay on that regiment. So I usually come in early and stretch and get my body right because that's one of my biggest problems is my flexibility is rough. So I've tried to work on that recently. So I try to do that, and then Coach Will does a good job of letting me pitch whenever I need to. Whenever I need to throw a pen, he'll just be like, okay, let's go get the mounds, whatever. But yeah, it is tough because you don't know when you're going to play. I think that's the toughest part because you can want to go throw a pen, but then you'd be like, oh, we might play in 2 days, but you don't know what to do. So I think that's the hardest part, but you try your best.
All right, I'll come back to you as well. Hewitt, your turn. Go ahead and introduce yourself, what class you're in, and what positions you play.
My name's Hewitt Wilt. I'm a sophomore. I'm a pitcher and an outfielder.
Another outfielder. I need someone to talk about the infield. But go ahead. Looking at last year compared to this year, differences for the good or the bad?
I would say I've increased my playing ability like a whole lot. I've gained a couple pounds. I've had varsity experience last year, so I kind of understand the game and have a little bit more experience this year.
And when you look at this year, what are you hoping to accomplish?
I just want to win ball games. That's all I really want to do for my team.
Wyatt talked about the deep pitching staff you have. Do you agree? I mean, you
Yes.
guys got that
yeah.
depth?
I mean, we have guys that can just go mow down teams, and we have guys that can just eat up innings for us if we need to.
When you look at yourself as a pitcher, what are your strengths? What do you bring to the mound?
Say I throw decently hard, and I'm kind of calm under pressure. I can control the bases if I have runners on. I don't let errors compound each other, so say I'm pretty.
We're losing our table.
Say I'm pretty calm under pressure.
Did the legs fall in?
This one did, yeah.
There you go. All right. A little
It's not
technical
me.
difficulties here. It's not just the internet we're having problems with. The table's giving us trouble too. But thanks for fixing that, guys. But, when you look at the CVC, you've got to have a deep pitching staff. You've got to have a bullpen. You've got to have guys that can come in the clutch and that have that right mentality. You confident that your pitchers have that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When you look at yourself as a pitcher, when you hit that mound, what are you trying to accomplish?
Get ahead and stay ahead in the counts. So if I can limit base runners and I can have insurance runs, that's really all I ask for, and solid defense behind me.
What pitches do you throw?
Fastball, curveball, and a changeup.
What's your top speed?
83.
Oh, okay. So you bring the heat a little bit.
A little bit.
How's the off speed?
It's pretty decent. It's come a long way. I'd say my changeup is probably my best pitch, but the fastball is just consistent.
Who are your catchers and how do they handle your pitching staff?
We got Keen Arkenberg, Curtis Meyer. Those are usually our two main guys. Keen's been my best friend forever, so he and I work really well together. Curdy, he plays for my summer team, so I know him pretty well too during the summer. So we usually get on the same page right from the get-go.
Who wins out when catcher throws up a 2 and you want to throw the 1? Who's got the final say?
It's kind of all depending on, because we usually evaluate our hitters like when they come up to the plate. So it's kind of whatever I'm feeling that day. If my curveball's not on, then if I need to get a strike, I'm probably not going to throw it in case it's not on. Where my fastball's usually always there for me. So if I need to, I'll shake him off. But most of the time, I agree with him.
All right, and I'm going to leave you with individual and team goals. What are you hoping to accomplish this year?
I'm hoping to make it pretty well into the playoffs this year. I think we got a really good pitching staff, and our lineup is solid throughout. I mean, we don't really got a weak link. It's speed all around anyway, so it's not anybody's going to be slowing us down. We'll steal bases. We'll get it. We're just going to score a bunch of runs this year, so.
All right, Wyatt, I'm going to go back to you, and instead of asking you about goals, I'm going to ask you, since you brought it up, you mentioned you made your college decision. Where are you headed?
I'm going to Gannon University.
Gannon,
in
okay.
Erie? Yeah.
Yep. What led you there?
I think it was the best situation for me. I wanted to get out. I mean, Geneva's a smaller town, so I wanted to get out in somewhat of a city. I mean, Erie's not the biggest city, but it's where I want to be right now. And then it's the best baseball decision for me. It's a really good team. I really like the coaches there, so yeah.
Close enough to home too. Family and friends can
it's
go
only
out.
like an hour away, so
Yep.
it's perfect. Yeah.
I assume they recruited you as a pitcher?
Yes, I'm
All right.
just gonna be pitching there.
And what's the outlook? They talking about getting you in there, throw some innings early?
That's the hope. That's the plan. I got to go out there and prove myself, though. I mean, but I plan on doing that. So.
Absolutely. And since now you've got that college decision out of the way, how confident are you that now you can just focus on the season and accomplish the rest of your goals?
Yeah, I mean, that was the goal going into, like, the spring. I wanted to decide in, like, the late winter, so I knew beforehand. So I think it's nice because I can just focus on this. I don't have to worry about anything with that, and I could just go out and play, be myself, you know.
Sounds good. Well, congrats to you on that.
Thank you.
All right. Jack, back to you. Individual and team goals. What are you hoping to accomplish?
Like they said, just want to make the playoffs. And individually, as long as we win, I don't really care what happens. I'm there to win ball games. If that means I go 0 for 4 every game and we win every game, I'm all for it.
Sounds good. Well, good luck to you. Coach, we'll finish up with you. We didn't talk much about the infield, so go ahead and mention those guys and then anyone else you expect to contribute this spring.
Sure. The infield going from third around to first. Ben Churchin's going to play third. Merrick Cunningham lost a year to injury last year, the previous year to COVID. Saw a decent amount of playing time at shortstop as a freshman. He's going to be our starting shortstop. Clayton and Shea Arkenberg are going to work at second. Wyatt's going to do some stuff at first. Jack was a infielder last year, but I think outfield's his natural position, so we're going to get him back out there where he feels comfortable. Like the guy said, there's not a game looking at schedule-wise that we can't match up for one game with. Having someone like Wyatt on a Monday in a league game every Monday, I'll take my chances with giving him the ball every Monday. That's an easy choice. So
agreed. The fist pump. And then lastly, how are you going to measure success this year?
We're gonna measure that by not just wins and losses, but growing as a team, growing as young men. I think that's an important thing to learn. The camaraderie, the sportsmanship, all that stuff. We're doing that, and these guys have bought into that.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate you all making the trip, the long trip out here to the home game for Media Day. Appreciate that, and best of luck to you.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming out. I mean, baseball in Northeastern Ohio is really good baseball, and it doesn't get the credit that some of the other sports do. So I appreciate you guys coming out.
Thanks. I love it. I love the spring sports. All right.
All right, thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Good luck to you. All right, that was the Geneva Eagles out here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day East version. Next up will be the Lakeside Dragons softball team. Give them a moment to jump into the hot seat here. I believe that's Coach Chad Kuchenmeister. Once again, CVC TV is presented by Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery. And now we've got the Dragons here, the softball team. And Coach, thanks for coming out. I'm going to let you introduce the player you brought with you and then just give us your elevator pitch. What can we expect out of the Dragons this spring?
Absolutely. So I got one of my seniors here, Naomi Cruz. She is pretty much my go-to captain leader of the team this year. She'll be doing a bulk of the pitching, shortstop, second base, anywhere we need. We got a pretty young team this year going into it, so it's going to be a mix of, what can we learn, how can we get girls up to speed. I have 7 freshmen on our varsity roster, so I think the big challenge for us this year is just to stay competitive. The CVC is loaded this year, so we're just going to stay competitive and fight in every game we got. So
you talked about the 7 freshmen, and somebody's got to step up and fill the shoes of the seniors that you lost, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to fill those shoes from Sydney Griffith, who's now playing at Toledo. Got to see her, she's getting a little bit of action as a freshman, so you lost a great player there, but you can't worry about who you don't have anymore. You just got to kind of have to take what you have and put those pieces into place. And how has it gone, just that transition in the preseason? It's, obviously been tough with the weather. You don't get outside much, but how's that been going as far as the preseason?
Yeah, I think for the most part, me being such a late hire is, I heard about the Sydney Griffith because I was actually our JV baseball coach last year. So I knew of all the seniors we lost, but, for me coming in as a new coach is, I quite frankly, I'm not too worried about who we lost. I'm more worried about who we got this year. So yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of big shoes to fill, but as far as, we didn't get much of a preseason workout. I started working with the kids in February. So I think just, the big goal is just getting them up with the speed. A lot of them that came in that we kept, they know the game of softball per se, but I think some of them, just haven't seen the speed of the game, which is why I'm so grateful we got 3 scrimmages in. So having those 3 scrimmages, and they got a little bit of a taste. But, we'll see where we go. I'm not too worried about that.
And those young players get thrown into the fire right away because the CVC is a tough softball conference, a lot of great teams out there, and you're going to be tested early and often. How ready are those kids for that challenge?
I think they're ready. We've gone over a lot of practices, scrimmages, a lot of defensive schemes, bunting coverage, and all that. The big thing for them is just to start getting reps. I got a freshman at third base, and sometimes Naomi can back me up here. Is we throw so much information at her. Like sometimes she looks like a deer in the headlights, but it's just going to be for her. It's just going to be getting some reps and seeing how it is. Like she's getting better every day. Like she's, I always tell, I tell her like I can see you're trying, and then that's the big thing is all these girls are trying. But I think that does prevent the big potential is since I do have 7 freshmen, that's going to grow over time. Is the more experience they get, we're going to be competitive for years to come.
Right, and I think that's the key. You get to kind of write your own story here as you take those freshmen and, they can rewrite Lakeside softball in whatever way they want to, and, they can develop their own culture. So from you, coming from JV baseball to varsity softball, how's that transition? Similar game, but a lot of differences and the little nuances of the game you have to pick up pretty quick.
Yeah, that's been the big thing for me is just, obviously I've been a baseball, softball guy for years. But the big thing is battling that transition, going from there. And she's not here today, but my assistant coach, Nicole Grimmett, has been my lifesaver there. As far as just like the little rules going from there, like as far as, stealing bases, bunting, what's different from baseball, what's different from softball, just over that thing. But other than that stuff, like as far as like the administrative side of being a head coach is, I've been a head coach for 5 years now, so I'm used to all of that stuff. That stuff's not too bad, but learning the rules is just like, oh, okay. And the big thing for me is just learning the pitching mechanics of it all. So,
Yep.
And again, my assistant, she played ball in college and she pitched in college, so I kind of been learning so much off of her. So it's been a fun transition. I'm excited to get started playing some games here soon. Hopefully, maybe we'll see.
Yep.
But,
So you get to be the coach and the student at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's it's so fast. It's just going from coaching JV baseball to just going from JV to varsity. It's just like it's so quick. I thought I was going to be like, all right, I'm going to be able to keep score at third. I'm not going to be able to handle game changer. First scrimmage? Nope. Not happening.
Nope, not at all.
Coach Grimmett, you're taking it. Here you go.
Definitely a fast game.
Definitely, for sure.
All right, Naomi, we're going to go over to you. Go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself. What class you're a senior, and then the positions you play, and then I'll throw some questions at you.
Well, obviously I'm a senior. I've been starting pitching this year for the first time in a very long time. I've been playing a little bit of short, a little bit of second. I'm a well-rounded player, so honestly, being thrown anywhere is just you just have to give me a brief reminder of what I need to do, and then I can hurry up and switch to whatever it is that you can have me do.
Well, the good thing for you is that you were able to play with Sydney and just see, she's a Division I talent, and those don't come around every day. So you get to watch her and how she prepared and readied herself for games and practices. So you get to kind of learn from her. But what's your style? What are you teaching the younger kids?
Mainly when they ask questions or I can tell when they get frustrated or a little confused. I just tell them whatever help me calm down, being throwing into a new position, you don't know what you're doing, so it's telling them that it's okay to mess up, it's okay to not be perfect. And then them going to positions, I just feel whatever I know, I try to help them as best as I can from what I know from playing that position, or hearing what I know being told in that position, or other people being coached in that. It's just whatever I know, I try to help as best as I can to help them be better and know what's going on.
Obviously, with a bunch of freshmen like you guys have, you need other leaders to step up. Who else is kind of taking that role on with you?
The other senior, Adriana Campo, she has helped me a lot, with helping other players and just being there when I can't be there. And then she's just been my backbone for it, so that's really a good thing to have, especially for that kind of sport.
Looking at the preseason and now here early in the season, obviously the weather hasn't cooperated much, but who have been some of the players that have impressed you?
I would say
Mariah Gildersleeve. She has impressed me a lot as a freshman, like taking in like everything that we've thrown at her. Like she has been very impressive, and she's definitely stepped up a lot from the first time I've seen her. So that's a very good thing. And Mackenzie Johnson, she's definitely stepped up a lot since the last time I seen her like play last season. So that's a good thing.
You mentioned you're back in the circle a little bit after some time away, but how's that transition going? You picking it up again?
Yeah, it's definitely a different feel from playing second base all last season, and so I think just getting my arm ready and icing and heating is the best thing that's for me, and as long as I'm getting the ball over the plate, that's all that matters.
That's it. Let the defense do their work, but walks don't help anybody. Throw some strikes and put it in play.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of goals do you have for your senior year, both individually and as a team?
Obviously, like the main goal would be to graduate, like any other person. Individually, I would just say like deciding where I want to go and deciding what I want to do, because I'm very indecisive. So I think like still trying to figure that process out is a little harder, knowing that I still have a little bit of time, but it's definitely hard. And then I would say for softball, just being as best as I can be and being there and helping is just, without getting injured, is probably like the best thing.
It's the key, right?
Yeah.
Walk off the field the same way you walked onto it, so that's good. All right, Coach, we're going to go back to you. And, who are some of the players that have really stepped up and taken on leadership roles and have impressed you so far in the preseason?
Yeah, I mean, so it's so easy, as far as leadership roles goes. It's Naomi, she's not going to boast about herself, but Naomi's been huge. Adriana Campbell, as soon as her basketball season was over, she jumped into that role too. Adelina Torino, she's going to be our center fielder for sure. She's kind of helped. She was kind of actually the one that kind of really persuaded me into doing it, because I'm her math teacher and I have the first period. And back in the fall, she was like, "Mr. K, you should be our softball coach." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, we'll see." And it just turned out to be there, but yeah, I think freshman wise, I think the one that pops up big time is Mariah Gildersleeve. She's going to be our third baseman. She can hit the snot out of the ball for a freshman. Going from there, so I think her bat's going to keep her on the field for sure. And we have a lot of young stars out there. We're going to have Rosie Briones in left. We'll have Mackenzie Johnson in right. Those two were freshmen last year that probably didn't get a lot of playing time last year, that have really stepped up. Going from there, we'll have junior Ireland Noble at first, and then we'll have another freshman behind the plate in Jada Lavender. So it's definitely going to be a young, competitive team. I tell them we're going to be that pesky team. No one likes playing, because every time you play us, we're going to play you hard. We're never going to be an easy win over that. So I think that's the big thing from there.
And then how are you going to define success this year? Obviously, you're coming in, new coach, you're learning a little bit of the game. You've got some players in new positions, a lot of freshmen. So obviously, everyone dreams of winning state titles and league titles and all that. But how are you going to define success?
I think the big thing for us is as long as we battle every game competitively, I don't care what the score says at the end of the game. In my book, we're going to be winners. I don't care if we go 500. I don't care if we go 12-0. I don't care if we go 0-12. The big thing is hey, if we battle all 12 of those games and they're competitive down the line, I'm not going to be too much worried about that. I'd like for us to be competitive in the CVC. I'd like to be see us just above 500 or so. But as like I said, as long as we play those games hard, I'm going to be happy. So.
Outstanding. Well, I wish you and your team a ton of success this season. Hopefully, we can just get on the field soon.
I hope so, too.
Next week does not look promising,
but
the week after looks good. So hopefully soon we'll get out there. But appreciate you both making the trip out here, and best of luck to you and your teammates.
All right, thank you. Mm-hmm.
That was the Lakeside Dragons softball team, and we've got a run of Dragons up. Next is going to be the Lakeside tennis team. Take their spot up here on the hot table here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day out here at Geneva High School. Once again, CVC TV is bringing this Media Day event to you, and it is presented by Ohio's Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery. All right, gentlemen, there's on your microphone a little black switch. When it's your turn to talk, just flip that up and flip it down when you're not speaking. And Coach, go ahead, introduce yourself, introduce the athletes you brought with you, and then give us an elevator pitch. What can we expect out of the Dragons on the court this season?
I'm Coach Hewitt. With me are my two seniors, Mike Paulshell and Joey Varquette. And this is my second year as the head coach after 24 years at the junior high and junior varsity level. We have 6 returning lettermen this year, and a couple junior high players have come up that are very strong players, and we have a lot of experience for the size of our squad, and I believe that we are going to have a very, very good year, and we're going to challenge for a lot of for the county and for our division of the conference.
That's what I like about Ashtabula County. You guys have that county tournament. That's always fun, that bragging rights. So that's cool. I wish other counties would do something like that. But Ashtabula, I think, has, in a lot of sports, they do a lot of similar things like that. So Ashtabula's doing it right.
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to Todd Nassif, the coach at St. John's, because he's the one that founded that tournament and ran the tournament for several years. And now we're cycling it to different schools. We hosted it with the girls this past fall, and the boys last year. So and then Jefferson's hosting it this year, and Geneva this year, Geneva the next year. So
right.
So that's very good there.
Yeah, very cool. So you coming in as a first-year head coach, it's great that you had all that experience as an assistant coach, but it's got to be even better knowing that you had all those lettermen returning. So how much has that eased your transition?
Well, this is my second year as head
coach.
Oh,
second. I'm
not
sorry.
first.
Okay.
And it obviously helps to have experienced players, and these two gentlemen here and everybody else have just gone above and beyond my expectations, and their work ethic is second to none. So and it's really made it much easier on me.
All right. Well, let's start. Mike, we'll start with you. Senior, what role are you playing on the team? First singles, second singles, etc.
I'm playing second singles currently right now, and I'm hoping to have a pretty windful season this year. So I'm really looking forward to it.
How are you different this year compared to last year?
The eagerness is a lot more showing this year than it was last year.
What have you learned in the past that has prepared you to find success as a senior?
I have pretty long endurance, so I'm not afraid to battle it out.
When you look at this is it, you're a senior, your last go around on the tennis court. How ready are you for it, and what are you looking to accomplish?
I'm ready for it, but I'm looking to accomplish, as a team, hopefully to win all county and possibly the CVC too. I think we have a pretty good chance of that, but personally, hopefully even improve my game even more.
What is the strength of your game?
The endurance. I'm also working a lot on my serves right now, which has been helping a lot.
How much does it help you individually to have so many other experienced players to challenge you in practice and prepare you for matches?
You learn from other players. When you play a person, you basically take part of their game with you. You learn how to play against them. It's that experience that'll help you differentiate your game from other people.
A great outlook. I like that. Talk about some of the other players on your team. Who has impressed you so far in the early the preseason and the early part of the season?
Joey Varquette has impressed me a lot this season. His drive has definitely changed a ton from this year and last year.
What are some of the challenges that you have to face as a player? Obviously, the CVC is a really tough tennis conference, so there's some challenges right there. We talked about the all-county tournament, and the county is a great tennis community as well, so you have those challenges, but what else are you going to face?
Probably keeping my head focused during the tennis season. That can always be a struggle, especially this year with looking at colleges and everything, and keeping my head focused during the school year too.
All right, I'll come back to you, Joey. We're gonna talk to you a little bit. You got some high praise for your teammate. How does that make you feel, just to know that your teammates recognize your hard work?
It makes me feel really good because Michael and myself, we both try to
as the seniors on the team, the leaders, to try to get the guys going and motivated and keep their heads in the game and just keep coming back, getting better and better. And to hear that, because I've been trying to do that, it's nice to hear.
First singles?
Yes.
You guys have to battle it out and practice a little bit then.
Yep. Yeah, well, we've played a ton. Yep. Always battle.
Mike talked about you take away a piece of, whoever you play, you take away a piece of their game. What have you learned from him that you've developed into your game?
From Michael, I've always learned to stay in points because he is, like you said, very enduring. And because of that, I got to change my game plan a little bit with him to make sure he's moving around the court so I can try to wear him out, so I can try to win a point off of him, but it's not always easy.
A lot of tennis teams don't have that competitive nature from first singles to second singles and on down. How much does that help you just to have that competition in practice?
It helps me and it helps our entire team by everyone's always trying to get better and everyone's competitive with each other in a good way where, the younger guys, they try to get a game off of us. Maybe next time they play us, try to get 2 games off of us, and we try to hold them off. So, they work hard to get to that instead of make it earned.
What's the strength of your game? Without giving away secrets, obviously. You don't want anyone to know. But
my strength, my game is probably my serve. Pretty powerful serve when it's going right. And, I'd say my serve is probably my best part of my game.
How much have you developed from freshman year to senior year?
I've developed a lot. My freshman year, I lost a lot. It was a lot of losing, but each year, obviously our sophomore year, there wasn't a season, but last year I started to win more, and this year it's a big mental thing too. Developing mentally as well as my tennis game helped a lot.
You talked about that, losing a lot as a freshman, and that's what's so hard about the individual sports. Losing isn't any better as a football player or a baseball player or a basketball player. It still stings and you don't like to lose. But when it's just you and somebody else, like wrestling or swimming or something, it's just you against an opponent, it's a little bit harder to take. How do you, overcome that and just deal with that stress and burden?
Yeah, I just used the losses as motivation to get better. I realized that my opponents that I've played my freshman year were all very experienced, oftentimes way older than me, seniors, juniors at the time. And I used that, and I just took pieces of their game and just I developed my own game around theirs, kind of. I took tips from them, I saw what they were doing right, and that helped me improve.
Senior year, last crack at it. What are your goals individually, and what do you hope your team can accomplish?
Individually, I'm hoping to just win as many matches as I can for my team, just to get that 1 point on the board for us right away, as well as just to improve my game all around. And as for the team, I'm hoping to win a lot this season, and obviously our record isn't the only thing that's going to judge our season for the year, but we've looked at our schedule, we've looked at how we look as a team, and all our guys that are here on our team this year, no one's new. They're either returning, and even our freshmen, they came from junior high, and they're already proving to be very, very good. So as a team, I'm hoping to kind of boost the guys' morale and have them come back next year even stronger. And most important goal, just to win and hopefully make a shot at county, make a shot at CVC.
I like that you stole my my outlook on, I always ask the coaches for how they're going to define success, because it isn't always about wins and losses or winning conference titles and that. Sometimes it's, showing, progress throughout the years. So I like that you're on that same wavelength there with me. But all right, Mike, back to you. Same question. What are your individual goals and your team goals?
An individual goal is to finish out the season strong, not really have any regrets on how I play competitively, give other teams competition. And then as our team, I would like to keep our legacies going. Like as seniors, when we leave, I don't want to necessarily be forgotten in a sense. So hopefully we can motivate our team to continue on the leadership that hopefully we can show them.
Did you watch any of the previous broadcasts of Media Days? Because I always talk about legacy, so I love that you brought that up. How important is that to you? That, I mean, obviously it's there at the top of your mind that you want to leave the program better than you found it, but how important is it?
It's pretty important, because what's the point of playing a sport for 4 years if it's not going to continue on to be great for the people after us?
Love it. Love it. Good stuff. Coach, back to you. I don't want to speak for you, but you have to like what you're hearing out of your senior leaders here.
Oh, absolutely. And these two gentlemen, I've known them since they were in kindergarten. And they've been just phenomenal student athletes all the way through. And the example they set is being picked up by the other players and carried on there. And I think one of the most important things about what we do is how they grow as citizens and as people. And tennis is being an individual sport. I think you gain a lot more of that than you might in a team sport, because they have to rely on themselves at the same time support their teammates. So that's the thing that I really am pleased about these gentlemen I get to work with.
We've got first and second singles. Give us the rest of your lineup.
Okay, right now at third singles is a freshman, Jack Varquette, Joey's youngest brother. At first doubles, we have Matthew Cerbella, a sophomore, and Ty Hamilton, a junior. Second doubles is currently Sergio Lozano and Owen Meany. They're both sophomores. And then we have two additional players. Andrew McKee, he's a junior. He's lettered last year. He had to take some time away, and he's working his way back in. And Taylor Williams, who's a freshman. And Taylor played last year in junior high, as did Joey's brother Jack. So.
And I touched on it earlier. I always ask the coaches, how are you going to define success this year? I mean, obviously, state title, all those good things. The CVC is very competitive. You want to win that as well. But what are you going to say? Yep, we had success. Where's your bar?
If at the end of the season, I look at these gentlemen and I see that they have progressed as students, young men, citizens, that's an obvious success there. As far as the competition is, if we can go out there and win more than we lose, hopefully we'll challenge for the county and the division and all that. But we want to have a decent winning record. But the most important thing is how these men develop, how these young men develop, and that we brought up from the previous coach, and I'm honored to continue doing that.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate you three making the trip out here and representing the Dragons. Looking forward to the CVC tournament again. It's always fun to watch. A lot of great players out there. It's we've talked about it earlier through the shows. Great tennis conference for sure. It's a great conference overall, but there are certain sports that we compete at a state level, and tennis is one of them. So you guys are in a great sport, a great conference for it, and happy to have you here. And best of luck to you this spring. That was the Lakeside Dragons tennis team, and next up before our break will be the Lakeside Dragons baseball team. Once again, our CVC Spring Sports Media Day, our East version here, is taking place at Geneva High School. Big shout out to Jen Crossley for hosting and being here today, opening up the school for us. Now we've got the Lakeside Dragons baseball team here with us. Coach, welcome, and I'm going to let you start out. Introduce yourself, the players you brought with you, and then give us that elevator pitch. What can we expect out of the Dragons this spring? Oh, flip that microphone up. There you go. Yep.
Yep. Jared Sieber, head baseball coach here. I have Ashton Wheelock, senior. Colin Poplowski, senior. As far as what we're looking forward to this year, I feel like we have a pretty talented group of guys. A few guys that have been in the program for 4 years, and some younger guys that are pretty talented. It's just a matter of getting consistently day to day, day in and day out, game to game. That consistency level is always a key whenever you're working with younger guys. And we're pretty inexperienced, but not, that's not always an excuse. Where you have high expectations year in, year out, and we're starting off pretty good. And I think that the sky's really the limit in terms of what we can do. We've talked about that we have the ability to beat anyone any day we play, and we also can lose to anyone any given day. So it's always just the consistency, showing up with the right energy and the right mentality, no matter what. Because especially in baseball, things don't always go right, and you have to be able to adjust and find ways to overcome those and win.
consistency is hard. It's even harder when you deal with Northeast Ohio weather. How are you guys kind of overcoming that challenge?
I think the big thing is not making sure that you are, whenever you do practice, you're not, you're not just. It's good to stay like sharp in terms of everything and making sure that you're on top of everything, but also not overdoing it. And when we're getting to this point in the year where if we're not. I mean, it's been a pretty brutal spring so far, but when you're not outside every day and you're in the gym doing everything, maybe switch up what you do. Take a couple more off days, mental rest, health rest days, just to kind of stay fresh and because it's easy to overdo it and this game is tough enough as it is. So it's really just dependent on making sure that we're staying focused and making sure that the practice times that we do have, we're taking advantage of it, and whenever we get a chance to get outside or play a game or whatever, that we're able to do it and we're ready to roll.
All right, let's slide that down to Ashton. Ashton, you're one of those guys that I hear about from every other coach in the league. When I ask, hey, who are the better players, you're one of the guys that comes to mind. Why is that?
Because I just think I'm one of those guys that goes out there and plays his heart out. I go 100% on the mound every time. I swing the bat like no other, and I just love the game so much.
I know you're pitching. What else are you playing?
When I pitch, obviously I'm going to pitch. But other than that, I'll be a utility guy wherever coach needs me to play when someone else is pitching. Third base, shortstop, outfield, first base, wherever.
As a pitcher, you bring a lot of tools. I know you throw hard. You've got some good off-speed stuff. But talk about your mentality. How do you approach each game, each inning, each batter?
Depends on who I'm facing. If I know the guy's late on my fastball, I'm going to come at him with the fastball. It depends on the count, the inning, how I'm feeling, how other pitchers are. It all depends,
I know success as a pitcher, it starts with being able to throw the pitches for strikes, hitting your spots, the right mentality, but there's also a process before the game. Talk about that. How do you learn about hitters and how do you prepare for each team?
Sometimes it comes to just looking at swing patterns, how far they are in the box, thinking I can get a slider away from them, or say they're on top of the box and get a fastball on their hands, jam them late. Or sometimes just looking at their timing, see how late they load, see how early they load. It's all part of the game.
How do you handle that pressure of just knowing that every team, every coach, every player, they know who you are, they know what you do, and they're ready for you?
I don't really deal with pressure that much. I always feel like I got loose shoulders all the time. Baseball's my home. I live on the mound, It's just what I do.
Talk about your pitching staff. You can't win all the games by yourself. Who are the other guys that are going to chew up some innings?
Our main two guys are going to be me and Cohen, so we'll be our top two, I'd say. Other starters, we got Alex DeSalvatore, sophomore. We got Garrett Stevenik, senior. We got Caleb Stitt, who's a sophomore. Other guys that'll chew up innings, Cam Crockett, junior. And, yeah.
All right. And then did I see you might have made a college decision?
Yes, I'm going to Gannon University.
Oh, another Gannon.
Yep.
Wyatt Feuderich was up here, and he's going to Wyatt, I assume?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Friends or rivals?
We play on the same travel team.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Did his decision factor into yours, or did you make the decision first?
I made the decision before him.
Okay.
But
so he's following you?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. But another guy who plays on my team, Dylan Gamber, so he goes to Mayfield, so a lot of guys.
That's cool. So what led you to Gannon? What did you like about it?
I really like the competitiveness of the conference. The PSAC is very, very competitive, and I walked onto campus, loved the atmosphere, loved the coaches, and it just felt right.
And then before I moved to your teammate there, just who are some of the guys that have impressed you so far in the preseason and early part of the season?
Some people that have surprised me is Alex DeSalvatore. He's made a lot of improvement over the offseason. I think he'll be a big-time lefty to come and shut things down on the mound for us. I think Garrett Stevenik will step in as a pitcher for us. And, yeah.
All right. Cohen or Colin? Cohen. All right, Cohen, you're up. Go ahead and introduce yourself, what class you're in, and what positions you're playing this year.
I'm Colin Poplowski. I play center field. I pitch. That's about it.
All right, and what are you looking forward to most this season?
We have a fun group of guys. We have a couple young kids that are going to play main roles. you have a talented team. I mean, all of them can compete at the varsity level. I just like our team all around.
What are your strengths as a pitcher?
I have a good off speed. I have a sneaky fastball. That's pretty much it.
Sneaky is in 78 or sneaky is in 87?
Probably high 70s.
Good. And then how's the off-speed stuff?
It's good. Lefty curveball, I can put it in the dirt, whatever.
Do you set up the fastball with the curve, or do you use the fastball to set up the off-speed stuff?
It can go either way. I'll throw it any count. It doesn't matter.
Confident throwing a curveball with 2 strikes?
Yes, sir. Confidence is key.
It absolutely is. How do you develop that confidence?
It comes from coaching and all the players around me. I know I have a defense behind me, so if they ground ball, I know we're gonna get an out.
Who's your catcher?
Well, we got Dylan Newsome and Stevie Tomey. They're both young kids. Both young kids. They're really good.
So usually the catcher kind of keeps the pitcher in check and keeps the emotions going, calls the game. But since they're younger guys, are the pitchers taking that role now?
A little bit. I mean, they're gonna call the game, but we're shaking them off if we don't want to throw whatever they want us to throw. It doesn't matter. Coach will let us know if we made a dumb decision once in a while. But
All right, let's talk about the outfield. You said you're the center field when you're not pitching?
Yes, sir.
Who else is out there with you?
We got Garrett Siebenik in right and Malachi Matlock in left.
And how's that group gelling?
Matlock, he's really fast. He can track anything out there. And Garrett, he's almost a guaranteed out. He catches everything.
That's good. And then just looking, at your senior season, what are you hoping to accomplish?
Probably more on the offensive end for me. Just hitting wherever coach wants me to hit. Just be wherever he wants me to be.
CVC, tough baseball conference, tough overall in just about every sport, but you got the Chagrin Falls, Perry, everybody comes in ready to play, good arms, good bats. Who are the teams you enjoy playing the most?
I would say probably Geneva. They got some
Coach's
kids,
old squad?
Yeah, we're looking forward to playing them.
Good. All right, and then just individual goals and team goals. What are you hoping to accomplish this year?
Obviously, we want to win a lot of games. We want to compete. We were going to have a playoff run last year, but it got shut down. I thought we could have made it pretty far last year.
All right, sounds good. Ashton, throw it back to you. Same question. Individual goals and team goals. What do you hope to accomplish in the spring?
Individually, I want to accomplish even more at the plate than I already did. I was pretty good last year, I'd say, so I obviously want to be better than I was last year. And then as a team, I want to make a deep playoff run for sure because I haven't gotten to experience it yet in high school, so looking forward to it.
Aside from the 2 guys at the table here, who are the breakout players this year? Who's going to surprise some people?
I think one of them is definitely Alex DeSalvatore, big lefty out of the pen, come in, shut people down. I think he'll surprise a lot of people hitting four-hole too. Also our second baseman, Ezra Campbell, he'll come and drive in sac fly whenever we need him to, do whatever the team needs.
As one of the dominant pitchers, upperclassmen, you've got some young catchers, so you kind of get to mold them in the way you want them. How cool is that? Instead of having like a senior catcher that's set in his ways, you get to say, hey, no, this is the way we want you to do things.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. I had to go through it one time, so.
Outstanding. All right, Coach, back to you. We talked about the pitching staff. We talked about the outfield. Break down your infield for us.
Yeah, we got a lot of moving parts as a whole with our team. We're not very deep. We're about 12 deep or so. So a lot really is we have to have a lot of guys that are able to move around defensively all over the place. So, I mean, we talked about, Ashton, he's literally going to play just about every position. We can do that. And there's a couple players that have to do that. But behind the plate, we have Dylan Newsome and Stevie Tomey. Stevie's a sophomore, Dylan's a freshman, and it's just really just trying to figure out who's going to give us the best chance to win and who's performing the best back there. First base mostly will be Alex DeSalvatore, sophomore. But since he pitches quite a bit, Ashton can go over there, but Garrett Siebenik can also as well. Second baseman's pretty much just going to be Ezra Campbell. He's a freshman. But we have, Kyler Sabentine, who's played there before. He's a senior as well. Caleb Stitt, sophomore, is our shortstop. But Ashton can play over there as well because Caleb's going to have to pitch, and Cam Crockett also can slide over. Who Cam is also, or he's our most likely going to be our starting third baseman a good amount of the year. He's a junior. But we have guys that have to. Really, it's just interchangeable. We've been moving around guys like nonstop because we really like our team and we like our pitching staff, but we're not extremely deep, so we don't have a lot of POs on the team. Everyone's gonna have to move around, play multiple positions, and it's been pretty good so far, I'd say.
How key is that versatility, especially when you look at the conference, the grind, and the weather is going to force you to play 4 or 5 games a week here down the stretch.
Yeah,
and
it's huge because you don't always have that availability. You want that, but realistically, that's not always the case. Guys sometimes are just second baseman or just first baseman. But I really feel confident with the defensive alignments we've come up with and whoever's pitching, and we can move guys around. And I don't really feel like there's much of a drop off defensively for the most part. Obviously, some guys are better at some positions than others, but that's the way it is. But whenever we get, like you said, where we're playing 5 games in 6 days or whatever in May, people have to move around, and injuries come up too. That's just part of it. So people have to be used to going pretty much wherever at any point. And since we've had to do that so much this off season, I think that we're pretty prepared for it whenever that does happen.
how much do you change your game plan according to opponent or just different situations? Some teams are like, hey, we've got a great pitching staff. We're gonna bunt and move a runner every time. Some teams are like, hey, we've got a great offense. We just want to pound the ball and take our chances. Do you change things up, or you just stick with what rolls?
We change things up depending on the opponent a lot of times. There's just the old philosophy where you play the game, not necessarily the opponent. So I like to try to come with that and that mentality too. We want to be more aggressive this year than we have in the past. So putting pressure on teams, and we have athleticism and some speed, and we want to play to that a lot more this year than we have in the past. Just with how baseball is, with the newer bats recently, and there's just not as much power. Right? It's just we don't want to sit around and wait for offense like that. We don't want to be stagnant, especially with the athleticism that we do have. So we want to put pressure, we want to move, we want to run. We'll take our chances, and if we get a little too aggressive, we'll take that risk with what reward we can get from it.
It is the CVC Spring Sports Media Day, so I do like to brag on the conference. I think it's a pretty solid baseball conference. How much does that help when you're playing against those teams? You've got to prepare, you've got to play hard and focused. How much does that prepare you and get you ready for the postseason?
Yeah, absolutely. It's our division's very difficult. There's really not you can't take off a day anyways in baseball, just because really anyone can beat anyone on any day. But with our conference and division, it's just every single game it's going to be competitive. You have to be on you have to be on your toes. You have to be really ready to go. And we learned a lot about that last year. We had a lot of last year we did have a lot of inexperienced guys that we would literally, it was like all year, one day we play extremely well and we come back the next day against the same exact team and lay an egg. But I'm very confident that we're not going to have that kind of same pattern. That's not to say that we can't, that we're not going to lose or anything along those lines, but we have the understanding and the experience now to be like, okay, every single day you have to be on your A game, especially in our conference, because literally you can look at the top to bottom, obviously people are going to come in first, second, third, but it wouldn't shock you if any one team really went on top or came in last or came in first, and you can make a case for just about anyone.
And talking to your seniors, it doesn't sound like you're going to have those peaks and valleys. It sounds like these guys have their heads on right. It sounds like the teammates have their heads on right. How do you develop that where, the guys don't have those, hey, we're playing Chagrin Falls, so we want to be at our best, and then, we're playing somebody at the bottom of the lineup, and we're going to go out and lay that egg you spoke of?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it's just learning experience. It also comes from senior leadership or just leadership in general, like understanding, like we have to be on top of these things. Like, these two guys have played a lot of baseball. They're both 4-year lettermen for me. So, and they saw it all last year, and they have to take charge and, get guys going, and we have to, as a coaching staff, be on them. But a lot of times it's easy for younger guys maybe to not necessarily tune out coaches, but it's easy to kind of maybe not take it as seriously if it comes from a senior who knows what they're doing or has been there before. But yeah, learning from those past experiences of what we can do and what happens when we show up and play our game, or when it happens when we're not really prepared. But a lot of it has to do with our attitudes. I think as a whole, our group has been having a great attitude this spring. They are open to coaching, and they understand that what it takes, or what we're trying to get them to do, is for the betterment of them and for this team, and they've really bought into that.
And then last thing I'll leave you with is, how are you going to define success this year? I mean, everybody wants to win a state title, regional title, districts, that kind of thing, conference title. But, the reality is you've got to, take one step at a time. What's it going to take for you to, call this a successful season?
Yeah, I think it's just the consistency and being competitive each and every game. Just to make sure that we can leave the field knowing that we had a shot to win, or we were right there, we were competitive the whole entire season. That's what we want. Because in baseball, it's literally one or two plays, one or two pitches that can change the trajectory of a game, and we don't want to let those things snowball and create rough seasons. But we want to make sure we were competitive in every single game, and that's our focus. We figure if we can be competitive in every single game, we have a chance to be successful all year, and that's the mentality I've always had as a coach: is just take it, whatever's right in front of you. Don't worry about what happened yesterday or tomorrow. It doesn't matter. We have to take care of today, and as long as we do that, I think at the end of the year we can look back and just realize that we had a successful season, and that we have a great group of seniors, a great group of guys, and it's a matter of taking advantage of those days together and those experiences together that you can take forward the rest of your life. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure we have a good experience start to finish, win a lot of baseball games.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate you three making the trip out here. Best of luck to the Dragons this season, and see you at a couple of games, I'm sure.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it. That was the Lakeside Dragons baseball team here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day East version. We are out here at Geneva High School. Up next, we're going to have the Beechwood track team. It'll be just a few minutes. We got a short little break here before we talk with the Bison. We'll be back here after a message from our sponsor. Should be a few minutes before the Bison are scheduled here to appear. But once again, I am Steve Hare, the CVC Sports Information Director, and we're going to hear from our sponsor and take a quick break, and we will be back.
Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery diagnoses and treats facial pain and injuries, and also offers a full range of dental implants and bone grafting procedures. Look no further than the Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery for all of your oral surgery and cosmetic surgery needs. Please visit their website at www.ohsurgery.com.
Welcome back to the CVC Spring Sports Media Day East version from Geneva High School. I'm Steve Hare, the CVC Sports Information Director. And up next, we have the Beechwood Bison track team, head coach Willie Smith. Coach, always a competitive product you put out there. And when I say competitive, you're not competing for CVC titles, you're competing for state titles. So it's great to have you here. Always a fun group to watch. You guys have some great athletes every year. You do a tremendous job. So I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself, the athletes you brought with you, and then just give us your elevator pitch. What can we expect out of the Bison this year?
It's a pleasure to be here, to be a part of this great activity. I think it's a wonderful idea. So, Coach, we appreciate the invitation and all the great work you do for the conference. I'm Coach Willie Smith. My 24th year overall, 23rd as the head coach of the girls and boys track teams at Beechwood High School. It's my pleasure to introduce to my immediate right, Mr. David Steckner. David is a versatile athlete that can run most any event that we have on the track, and he's going to do some great things this season. To his right is Maddox Revels, sophomore, who is going to stand tall in the conference, literally and figuratively. He's a versatile athlete as well. We try to prepare our athletes to do multiple things, and he can do field events as well as the running events. And then sophomore Dakota Houston, she's a hit record waiting to be discovered. She can do some great things. We're looking for really state caliber performances out of her this year as well as in the years to come. So I'm thankful to have these young people here representing our school and our track team.
All right, and I'll come back to you, Coach, after I talk to your athletes to fill in the blanks that we don't cover as we talk to them. But David, I'm going to start with you. Go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us what grade you're in and what events you plan to compete in this year.
I'm David Steckner. I'm a junior, and I mainly do the 400, but then I can move up to longer events and go down to shorter events. My main event, open 400, but then I also just do relays. Don't plan on doing any open 200s or 800s competitively, but I will be planning on doing the 400 for districts and make it to the state meet for the 400.
What kind of success did you have last year as far as, conference places, district, regionals, any state qualifications or placements? And then talk about the improvements you've made in those events.
Last year was a hard one for me because during the cross-country season I got injured and I competed in indoor, but that just ultimately ended up me getting more injured, so then I had to sit out of all of outdoor. So I couldn't see what I did out there, but indoor, it was a great stepping stone for me. First season of high school track because of COVID. We did pretty well at the race, got some gold medals. We worked hard, and ultimately I'm glad that we did that well.
One of the things I love talking about, whatever the sport, whatever the team, is legacy. And to me, it's always important that as a high school athlete, you come in and you take the reins from the people that came before you, and you leave the program better than you left it. When you talk about Beechwood track, there's quite a legacy, and we're talking about team state titles, individual state titles, a lot of athletes going on and having success at the state meets and then beyond and going to college. How important is that to you to meet those standards of the program?
It's really important to me. I was really inspired by an athlete, Jack McPhillips. He would always talk to me before a race. I would get nervous, and then he would just calm my nerves, and it's just, I want to ultimately strive to be like him and make this a program which newer athletes can come into and just ultimately feel the love and the warmth of the team.
When you look at the Beechwood track program or any track program in general, is you're always competing against time or somebody that came before you or an opponent. But at Beechwood, it's just that standard is so high. How much does that drive you just to say, hey, I don't want to let down my teammates, I don't want to let down my coach, and I just want to be the best athlete I can be?
It drives me quite a bit. It's mainly not the legacy, but then I know everyone around me, the team wants us to do well. Especially in the 4x4, everyone's expecting a lot from me, and we all just push each other to the best that we can be.
Who do you run with in that 4x4?
In the 4x4, during indoor, it was me, Caleb Burns, Noah Seidel, and Maddox Rebels. And Maddox wasn't planning on being a 400 runner, but he just took up the mantle and ran well.
All right, I'm going to give you a chance to give a shout out to some of your teammates that aren't here. Who are some of the athletes that have been impressive so far in the preseason?
The athletes that have been impressive during the preseason was Noah Seidel, Greg Perryman, Caleb Burns. They couldn't have made it today because they were busy. It's vacation right now for them, getting work in. They've just impressed me so much of how much they've grown and improved over the years. I've seen Caleb and Greg since middle school, and they've just came so far.
I know Greg is an outstanding athlete, but would it have been his sister? Long jump, and yeah, she was phenomenal athlete, just fun to watch there. But I'm going to slide that down to Maddox. Maddox, go ahead, introduce yourself, what grade you're in, and what event you expect to compete in this year.
My name is Max Rebels, sophomore, and I plan on running all the way from the 4-1 to the 4 to the long jump. So very open to trying new things.
What kind of success did you have last year?
Last year was eye-opening, the competition in high school. I didn't do very well in indoor season. It was really just to get training, work harder. Outdoor start of it wasn't so great, but at the end of it, I really picked it up and stepped up to the 4-2. Our team was able to get it to regionals, and yeah.
And then just looking at last year's performance and what you've done so far now, any progress made?
Very much. Last year, we've improved our indoor times significantly. And when we came outdoor, our 4-1 is starting right where it left off. So it's really good to see.
And then just what kind of what are you hoping to accomplish this year as far as just showing improvement from last year and living up to the legacy of Beechwood track?
Hoping to make it to states, 4-1, 4-2, 4-4, 4-8. Hoping maybe my Open 2 can make me to regionals, but relays, we expect to make it to states.
What event, what's your go-to? Is there one that you can just say, hey, this is the one that I know, this gives me my best chance?
4-2, that's my baby. I love the 200. That's where I feel the most comfortable. That's where I feel the most relaxed.
Is it just the short burst or what?
I've been running it since middle school, since 7th grade. I ran that 200. I said that's mine, and just stuck with it.
All right, and then you're running a bunch of relays. Who are some of the guys that you'll be running with?
4-2, Braylon Eden. I'll have David Steckner. Maybe Jonathan Moe and Noah Seidel. 4-4, we already heard from David. 4-1, we're not sure. We're trying out people, but it's going to be good.
And then just same question about that legacy. How much does that drive you and inspire you to just put in the work and try and live up to the standards?
It pushes me a lot. Coach does so much for me, and I just want to make him proud. I really do.
All right. Dakota, down to you. I know you're a sophomore. Tell us what events you plan to compete in this year.
I'm Dakota Houston. I'm a sophomore. It really varies. I run open 1, open 2, 4x1, 4x2. I also do long jump, and certain meets I do the 4x4.
So how are you going to pick 4? You know, you can't compete in all of them. So how do you say, okay, here's the 4 I know I'm going to compete in?
Yeah, usually for the first few events, we try out every other. The girls, we really can run a lot of different sprints. So we try out any vary of relays, change the order up a little, but we still have the same 4 girls from last year, so we try to keep that as original as possible.
You're a sophomore and you're stepping into a program that just the standard is so high. How do you deal with that pressure?
I would say it's kind of easy. My freshman year, it wasn't really that easy, but kind of like growing into it, it's really good because I feel like the pressure helps us run better, and us working harder makes us run better. And last year was just amazing for both boys and girls. Girls for the 4-1 being champions, it was just great for us because we worked so hard to get there. We had our ups and downs of all of last year, and we finally got where we wanted to be.
When you win a title like that, when you win other meets and you do so well at competitions, how does that drive you to just kind of build off that success?
We just try to like get faster, build stronger, and we don't let anything else like get in the way. Like, yeah, we won last year, but then our goal this year is to win again this year. We can't have us winning last year take over anything. So now we're all focused on this year and not anything of last year.
I have to imagine that at some of the meets you go to, the toughest competition that you've had was at practice. So how much does it help just to have so many great athletes to push you and push you to work harder and get faster?
It's really a family at Beechwood because none of us try to like degrade anyone. We're just trying to push each other to be better than each other. And all those records that are on the board, we're all just trying to break it. That's our main goal here, to win CVCs, to win districts, and to win regionals, and to win states.
Talk a little bit about some of the athletes that have impressed you so far on the girls' side.
We have Kylie Walters, Lauren Luxembourg, Amelie Cotta, Sydney Anderson, and Sarah Brown, and Madison Torbert.
They've all been impressive so far.
Yeah. Like from last year, no matter how many ups or downs we had, we would always focus on something that we needed to work on and just get that down. And we've been so amazing this and last year.
When you look at this season, sophomore year, you got a couple years ahead of you still, but just looking, this year, what are you trying to accomplish individually, and what do you hope to see your team accomplish?
Individually, I'm trying to break the record for the 100, try for the 200. And then, again, this year for the team, we're just trying to do a repeat of being state champs for the 4x1.
Outstanding. Maddox, back to you. Same question. Individual and team goals. What are you hoping to accomplish this spring?
I'm hoping our 4-2 can make it to states. 4-4, I'm expecting to win. And 4-1, I'm hoping to make it to states. Open 2, I'm hoping to make it to regionals.
And then team-wise, what do you hope your squad can accomplish?
I'm hoping we can bring as many people to states. We have a great bunch of athletes, and I know we can do it.
Nothing better than that team picture with Jesse Owens, right?
No.
All right, David, same question to you.
What I really want to have happen is we're planning on going to Hayward Field at Oregon, and I just want to see our team thrive there and get like top 6.
Is that for a regular season meet you're going out there, or is that something after?
This is nationals.
So you guys, like I said earlier, you guys aren't just worried about that CVC meet. You want state titles and national accomplishments. That's what I talk about with Beechwood track. There's a legacy and a standard, and you guys are raising the bar all the time. I like it. All right, Coach, back to you. Let's fill in the blanks. Who are some of the other athletes that you're counting on this year to do some great things for Beechwood?
From the girls' side, Sarah Brown is very versatile. She was on the state championship 4x1 team, but she is also very good in the throws. And that's an interesting combination. You usually don't find throwers athletic enough to run events, particularly relays, and so she has that versatility and skill set. So expecting great things from her. Madison Tolbert is another thrower that is really hungry. She hasn't been able to achieve the success level. She's a sophomore, so she's expecting to be better from her freshman year. Freshman year was a learning experience from her, but yesterday she threw very well in the track meet, and was very excited to see her development from freshman to sophomore year from yesterday's meet. So that's going to carry over for her. Dakota, of course, as our best short sprinter, and really expecting her to really do extremely well in the 100 meters. That's where I really want her to focus on, and then the other events will come. But she did really well this summer in the summer track AAUs, and so we're looking forward to building on that. So if she stays healthy, we're expecting her to do really, really well. Lauren Luxembourg is our best long sprinter, 200, 400, and she anchors our relays. So she's, counted on to finish the race and bring home the victory in those events. Amelie Cotter's our senior, and again, as I've shared before, we try to diversify and get our athletes to be multi-event people, and so she's our lone senior on our relays, and be one of our captains. And Kylie Walters really has a lot of potential to be really, really good. She's a sophomore, and she can do almost anything from long jump, high jump, relay. She's just really good. So expecting her to make her mark in the area and all of those events. Aaliyah Edwards is our other senior, who is very versatile hurdler, will be on the relay teams, also one of our long jumper, high jumpers. So her versatility will help our team a great deal. And then our lone freshman, Sydney Anderson, who will help us in the longer sprints. Those would be for the girls' side. Besides Maddox and David here, Caleb, as was mentioned, Caleb Burns, 800-meter specialist. We're hoping to see great things from him. Noah Seidel and David will be our 400-meter specialists. And Braylon Eaton can do a lot of things and is getting some interest from some Division II schools. Very versatile, can run any of the shorter sprints, and the 4x4. He was on the 4x4 relay team that finished 7th in the state last year for the boys. So we have high expectations for that 4x4 team, most especially with the versatility and experience coming back. Greg Perryman, a very steady individual. Greg is academic genius. He just got back from last week down at the University of Virginia, offered one of their most prestigious academic scholarships, full ride to University of Virginia, who brings a calming, steady hand to the team. Doesn't get overly emotional about most things, but he's like E.F. Hutton when he speaks. Everybody's listening.
You need those guys.
Yeah, you gotta have them, and so his leadership is critical to our entire team. So those are our prime guys. We have some supporting casts from Lavon Swaby, Jonathan Moe, Straja. I call him CJ because I can't pronounce his last name. He has about 15 syllables in it. But I remember his first meet, his parents were there, and we were calling him CJ. They were like, "Who was that?" So we understand the pronunciation of his last name is difficult. But he is a sophomore as well. So we're young, and our boys, our numbers are really good. One of the first time that we've had this good of quantity and quality from our boys team. And so did I miss any of the boys, guys? I think we're pretty much covered there. So we have some young distance runners. Max Kinsler, who's going to specialize in our 3200, and he's been improving steadily every meet, and is beginning to feel the joy of success, and he's liking it, and it's wanting to figure out a way. What else can he do? How much more running can he do? Does can I stay longer to practice? No, it's time to go home. He's hungry for some success.
You like to see that as a coach.
Oh, yes, no question about it.
Except when you're hungry and you want to go home and eat.
Yeah, exactly. I want to go home, Max. Let's go.
Right.
And senior Grant Wessler, who's come a long way. He has steadily improved and is going to contribute in some of our meets that we're going to need his points. And a couple other kids that are young and upcoming.
All right. Yeah. Well, I don't know how you do it, but 24 years, you just keep raising the bar. Someday you're going to write a book with all the secrets to your success and just change the game and the landscape for good. But just keep doing what you're doing, Coach. I think you picked up another national award recently, just to add to the collection. But you've done a tremendous job, and just the athletes you keep churning out at Beechwood. It's impressive and fun to watch. So best of luck to you all. I appreciate you coming, and glad you could make it out. This is the Beechwood Bison track team, or at least a portion of it here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day. So thank you all for being here, and good luck to you this spring.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Coach.
It. Thank you.
That was the Beechwood Bison. Next up is the Geneva softball team here on their home court here, or home cafeteria, out here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day. Once again, I am Steve Hare, the CVC Sports Information Director. Our Spring Sports Media Day and all of our CVC TV broadcasts over the past 2 years are presented by Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery. We'll have a little bit more on them at our next break. But as we wait for the Geneva Eagles softball team, Coach Alicia Pitcher, and we'll get their athletes introduced here momentarily. Got a few more teams here on the schedule. We've got the Geneva track teams coming up, following the softball team. And then after the Geneva track teams, we'll have the Edgewood track teams to close out our Spring Sports Media Day. So once again, we've got the Geneva Eagles softball team coming to join us here. Hi there. Yeah, have a seat. Grab a microphone. Is Coach here? Oh, are we going to need another chair for Coach? My guys might have to slide down just a little bit so we can get you all in on our wide screen. There's a chair for you, Coach. All right, we can almost fit you all into the camera. Let me slide it over just a little bit. There we go. All right, Coach, welcome. Go ahead and introduce the athletes you brought with you, and then give us your elevator pitch. What can we expect out of the Eagles this year?
Well, with me today, this is Ashlyn Horowski. She's our senior second baseman. Gianna Logan. Gianna's probably going to play some first base and some outfield for us. We have Delise Alvarez. She will pitch for us and play center field. And then we have Carmen Alvarez, and she will be our shortstop this year. Actually, we're looking for great things this year. I mean, these girls have been working hard in the off season. They're really starting to put everything together, so they have high expectations this year.
All right, we're going to come back to you to fill in the gaps after we talk to your players. But Ashlyn, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us what grade you're in, position you're going to play, and then just give us your goals for the season.
I'm Ashlyn Horowski. I'm a senior going to be playing second base. And my expectations for the season are as a team to get along good and have a good season, come together and play our best.
Looking at last year to this year, obviously you graduated some kids, you got some kids coming back, but what's been different? How whether it's been positive or negative, what's different?
I mean, we've had a younger team both years, and last year was my first year playing, so I think this year a lot of the players are just more experienced, and we all have another year to put it into our play, I guess.
Individually, how have you grown as a player?
Considering last year was my first year, probably a lot. I didn't play any infield last year. I was mainly outfield, right field, so probably just a lot of work put in to get to know the game.
So what made you finally come out for softball?
Really just something to do for fun, and then I ended up kind of sticking with it, so.
Yes, obviously you enjoyed it. What do you like most about softball?
Just the team in general. It's a good team, so.
All right, and how has the transition to second base gone for you?
It's going good. Still have to work at it a lot and get used to it, but it's going good.
A lot of different responsibilities at second. You got to cover second base on steals. You got to be at first base for bunts and infield hits. You picking it up pretty quick?
I would say decent, yeah.
What's been the biggest challenge for you?
Probably going to cover first base is my biggest, but we're working at it.
And then how about the hitting portion? Picking that up?
Yes. Considering only second year, not too bad.
Right. So what do you like most? Defense, offense?
Probably defense.
All right.
I like the thrill of it, I guess.
And so you're an infielder. I'm gonna let you break down the infield for us. Give us start at catcher and work your way around.
Our catcher Alyssa, very good player. She's a sophomore? Sophomore, very good for a sophomore. First baseman, we kind of switch in between. She's working at it right now. And our other first baseman, Bailey, very good also. Still got to kind of work on it and fit who will be best for the position. Second base, me working at it, looking good at the position. And then the other second baseman, Annabelle, she's a freshman, very good also. Our shortstop, Carmen, very good. And third baseman, also kind of undecided, but we have Abby, she's sophomore, junior? Sophomore. And then Savannah, who's a freshman, very good. So.
All right, now I'm going to come back to you in a little bit, but we're going to work our way over to Gianna there. Gianna, go ahead, introduce yourself, name, grade, position.
I'm Gianna Logan. I'm a senior, and I play outfield, and I'm working at first, and I play some third here and there. So I'm, working, to play kind of everywhere.
Coming into a new season, obviously got to be a little bit excited despite the weather, but once you finally get on the field, what are you looking forward to the most this year?
I'm really looking forward to our team, like Ashlyn. A lot of the girls are really experienced, so we have a really good team, and we all got along, as soon as we met each other. And we, know how to, communicate with each other. I mean, we still got to work on it a little bit, but since we all know the sport really well, it's just, a really good team to have.
Geneva's always had success in softball. Whether you're winning conference titles or not, you're always in the discussion. How is this team going to live up to that standard?
Well, a lot of the girls do play travel, so they've been playing softball their whole life, and they've just been working at it, so I really think this year would be a really good year for us to make it to states.
What do you bring to the table as a player?
Well, since I kind of like play like everywhere, Alicia, like if she needs someone to go like to a like first, I'll play first, or if she needs an outfielder, I'll be outfielder. And the only thing the position I can't do is pitch, but everywhere else I can play.
All right, let's go down to the player nobody in the area knows anything about, Delise. All right. Obviously, that's not true. Delise is one of the players everybody knows about because of her powerful bat. But Delise, you're also a pitcher, and you're going to be counted on to do an awful lot this year. What's going to be different for you this year as far as being in the circle and chewing up all those innings and mowing down batters and keeping your team in games aside from your bat? Microphone, flip that little black switch up. There you go.
Try to help the team out, like show them how to do stuff, and the coach said like help around and all. And in the mound, I'll try to like strike out. That's my goal for this year. Strike out a lot of girls, and yeah, simple.
When you come into a season where everybody knows your name, everybody knows what you're capable of with a bat in your hand, how do you handle that pressure, just knowing that, hey, they're going to try and pitch around you, but you still have to be able to produce for your team?
Well, I'll just try to show them that I'm capable of going higher and try to just hit as much as I can, and also fielding. Pretty good outfield. So.
How did you develop that ability with the bat in your hands? I mean, what kind of work did you put in to become such a great hitter?
Well, my dad, he helped me a lot at home. He had us hit in the tee at home all the time, had us work out, run, all of that. And he also helped me a lot, soft tossing, doing outfield drills, hitting, and yeah.
All right. And then now as a pitcher, softball teams go the way their pitchers go. So you're going to be counted on not only for your bat, but also to go in and do things in the circle. How have you developed as a pitcher?
Well, last year I was a little bit slower, but this year Amy, pitcher, she helped me a lot, and coach helped me a lot, doing a lot of drills for pitching. So I'm working on trying to drop curves, so hopefully I can get there.
How many pitches do you have in your repertoire?
So far I got four pitches so far that I can work good. So they're rice ball, fastball, change up, drop curve a little bit, and screwball.
Okay. So how confident are you with 3 balls or 2 strikes to be able to throw those off pitches, just to kind of, you can't always throw a fastball. They'll time you up and put those in play, but you've got to be able to keep hitters off balance. Yeah. How confident are you when the pressure's on to throw those off pitches?
It's a lot of pressure, but my teammates help me a lot. They talk to me in the field. They tell me I can do it and all that, so they help me a lot.
And who is your catcher this year?
Alyssa Pomisano.
And what kind of relationship do you guys have as far as that battery, pitcher, catcher? You have to have a good relationship and trust your catcher to call a good game and make the right calls.
Yeah, I trust her. I trust her to call the pitches and all. We're good friends, and we get along pretty well. So.
And then just from the pitcher's perspective, how has your defense come along?
Well, last year we were kind of rough, so in this year we worked a lot on defense, and so we did a lot of drills this year, and we're working hard this year.
All right. Let's slide over to Carmen. Carmen, you're the shortstop. You got your sister in the circle you got to protect. How ready are you for that challenge?
I'm super excited. Oh, God.
You're just ready.
Yeah.
No words need to be said. You're just ready. Give you a glove and you're out there. Who's the better hitter? Be honest. No, be honest.
She's the better hitter.
No, be honest.
It's true.
It's true. Okay.
She hits more home than me.
What have you learned from your sister that's helped you in your game?
Well, she hits a lot of home runs, and it gets me to do more stuff than hers. I want to get better and stuff, so I just follow her.
Sounds like you guys have both developed a strong work ethic, putting in the time on the tee and soft toss. How much has that helped you as a player?
It helped me a lot. I gotten better hitting outside pitches and stuff inside. Like, as coach, she helped me too. Yeah.
And how confident are you in your sister when she's in the circle that she's going to be able to hit her spots and keep hitters off balance to keep the defense from having too much pressure put on it?
She can strike people out when she focuses, and she can do good, like when she's in the game and everything.
So she's developed her own reputation as this powerful, feared hitter. What do you want to be known as? How do you want to follow in those footsteps and create your own persona?
Well, I want to be known as like my glove more, because I do better at fielding than hitting. That's what I think, but yeah.
All right. When you look at your squad, outfield, infield, pitcher, catcher, everybody with the bat in their hand, what's the strength of this team?
We know that everyone can hit because they've been playing for years, and we just have to work as a team to get to the finals and everything.
All right.
Super confident in them.
All right. And then just individually and as a team, what are your goals this season? What do you hope to accomplish?
I want to, as a team, we want to make it to the finals and win states. And yeah, that's it.
Just a little goal, right? Just
yeah.
not. All right. Back to you, Delise. Same question. Individually and as a team, what are your goals for the season?
For this year individually, I'm going to try to hit more home runs than last year. And as a team, I'll just work together and just have a good season this year, get to states, to finals. So hopefully we can do that this year.
How many career home runs do you have?
A lot. So
She close to a school record or anything like that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she's got it. Way to go. All right. Gianna, back to you. Same question. What kind of individual goals do you have, and what do you hope you guys accomplish as a team?
Well, individually, I have a goal. This is a funny one, but I do fall a lot. I'm very clumsy, so my goal for this year is not to fall. But besides that, I just really want to be a part of this team and be a person that this team wants me to be. So fielding, playing outfield, catching balls, fielding balls. I really want to be that person for people to count on, for me to get the ball. And again, for the team, work together, communicate, get along, and just have fun and go to states.
So they don't wrap you in bubble wrap just in case you fall and hurt yourself?
No.
Okay, that's good. All right, Ashlyn, to you. I'm only going to ask you about individual goals, and then I have a different question for you to follow up. But go ahead. What's your individual goals for this year?
My individual goals are probably to work on hitting a lot, kind of get that down, and work more at second since I just started second this year more. So just try and get the hang of the game still. But.
Okay. And aside from anyone at the table, who's going to be the breakout player for Geneva this year?
I'd say Alyssa Palmisano, our catcher.
Catcher, okay.
Very good player.
Good. Got to have a good catcher.
Yes.
All right, Coach, back to you. Fill in the blanks for us. Who didn't they mention? Talk about your lineup, breakout players, anyone you know has to contribute and step up.
Let's see. In the outfield, we'll have Jordan Alderman. I mean, she's probably one of the best outfielders that I think we will see this year. She gobbles up everything out there. We have Savannah Burton, who is an incoming freshman who will play some third base for us. She's also a great outfielder, and she brings a good bat to the table. We have Abby Stash, who was our third baseman last year, who's working really hard. Yeah, she might end up playing a little bit of first base till our first baseman gets back, but I mean, she brings a great bat to the table. This year we've added Alexis Shuttleworth and Bailey Evangelista. Bailey will play some first base for us once she's got a hand injury right now. Alexis has been working really hard. I mean, she's starting to hit the ball really well. We also have Juliana Chambers, who is also an incoming freshman. She'll play some first base for us. Annabelle Bragg, incoming freshman. She'll do some of our pitching for us. She's Delisa's backup right now. She'll also play second base for us. Should I forget anyone? I think that's all of them. Our bats have come alive through the winter ball and stuff. I mean, we're hitting the ball well. Our fielding's a little shaky at times, but we are still very young. These 4 here are all of my upperclassmen I have. Everybody else is either a freshman or a sophomore.
That can be a positive and it can be a negative. How do you turn it into a positive?
We just keep working hard. Keep telling them they just got to keep learning. You know, there's a lot of stuff they don't know at this level. So, and they have worked really hard this winter.
One of the things, and I mentioned earlier, Geneva's always had a strong softball program. Whether you're, like I said, whether you're competing for conference titles or not, you're always in the discussion. You don't have peaks and valleys where one year you're really good, the next year you're really bad. You're always competitive. And how much does that play into it where you can have a young team, but they already know the standard has been set?
I think all the girls I have through the years, they work really hard in the off season. I mean, we start like in November. And we have, my daughter Amy comes in and helps with the pitching, and we have different people come in and help them with their hitting. And I mean, all these girls have worked super hard.
I always thought it was funny. Your daughter is a pitcher, last name,
Yes.
just perfect,
Yes.
perfectly named, aptly named pitcher. But
yeah.
All right, and define success for us. What's it going to take this year for you to walk away from a season saying, "Yep, we did it"?
We just got to believe that we can do it, and we got to play as a team. I mean, we have all the pieces. We just need them to believe we have all the pieces.
Outstanding. All right. Well, that is the Geneva Eagles softball team here on their home field, home cafeteria, whatever you want to call it. But appreciate you guys making the trip, and best of luck to you this spring.
Thank you.
All right. Once again, it was the Geneva Eagles softball team here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day East version out here at Geneva High School. Up next, we've got the Geneva track teams. I believe the girls are going to go first. Head coach Emily Long and her crew will be here on the hot table here in a moment. Once again, our Spring Sports Media Day and CVC TV is presented by Ohio's Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery. We've got the Eagles track teams, Geneva boys and girls, followed by the Edgewood girls and boys track teams, and that will wrap up our CVC Spring Sports Media Day. Next week, we will be out at Kirtland High School on Sunday, April 10th. That will be our third and final Spring Sports Media Day event. That will be the central version, trying to spread these out a little bit to minimize the travel time these teams have to endure to participate in these events. We've got just a couple of moments here before the Eagles take their spot at the head table. They're working their way over here. Track teams are usually fast. There's a little black switch on your microphones. When you're ready, to talk, you flip that switch up, and when you're done, switch it down so we don't pick up that ambient audio. Absolutely. Yeah, let's you guys slide back that way. We'll try and fit everybody in here. I can go a little bit wider. Coach, you're going to have to slide that way just a little bit. Okay, there we go. I've got you all in there. All right, so we're going to double up our Geneva track teams here. So I know Coach Long. Coach, go ahead, introduce your other coach and then the athletes you brought with us. And then you guys both can jump in and give an elevator pitch. So you can give one, your girls.
I'm actually boys.
You're the boys, and then you're the girls. So you guys just introduce everybody and then give us your elevator pitches, and then I'll talk to your athletes.
Okay. Am I on?
You're on.
Okay. So I am Coach Long. With us, we have Kennedy Landers, Liv Reese, and Gabby Selman, and the girls coach, Jason Dalton.
All right, and give us your elevator pitch for the boys. What can we expect?
For the boys, we have a lot of freshmen out this year for the first year. A lot of young talent. Some sprinters is where we were sort of lacking before, so we have some freshman boys that are going to fill those spots. We have Donnie Shimsky in the distance runs, who's really progressed and is showing some good potential for us this season. So along with what we had coming back, I think we're going to have a really good season.
All right, Coach, your elevator pitch. Flip your switch up.
All right. I'm Coach Dalton. This is my first year coaching Geneva track as a head coach. I was here prior as assistant high jump coach. This year we have 8 returning seniors, which I think only one of them is dedicated runner. The rest are all in field events, which has a really solid effect for our whole team. With those 8 seniors, we have a slew of 11th and 10th graders, so that makes up a real good experience. And I was fortunate enough to have some of the 9th graders last year as a middle school coach, so I know that makes a well-rounded group of girls. We're excited about the season, putting in some hard work. They do what I need them to when I ask them, and it's extremely good group of girls to train with.
All right, coaches, I will be back to you guys, but we'll talk to the girls first. Let's start with Gabby. We'll go left to right this time. I always go right to left, but so Gabby, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us what grade you're in and what events you expect to compete in this year.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm a senior.
Hi, Gabby.
I usually do pole vault. That's like my main focus, but I also do long jump and like sprints, so like 200, 100.
Pole vaulters are nuts, by the way, just absolutely nuts.
Sometimes.
It's so fun to watch. It's one of my favorite events to take pictures at. But you run at top speed, you throw this little pole and you vault yourself in the air, you land on your head. There's something not right about pole vaulters, but in a good way. It's like a fearless way. I like it. But so how did you decide to do this crazy event?
Well, I used to do gymnastics, so like the old pole vault coach, McCoy, he like got me into it because I was friends with the old vaulter, Deidre Marison, and I really liked it after that, so I just stuck with it, and I've liked it so far, like a lot.
And how have you developed as a vaulter? I mean, have you really increased your heights?
I go 10.6 right now, so
just 10.6,
just 10.6, yeah.
She's so casual about it. And then your other events, do you have a favorite? Is pole vault up there?
Pole vault's my favorite by a ways.
Okay. What kind of success did you have last year in all your events, and what do you hope to accomplish this year?
I had a lot of success, I'd say personally. I went to states in pole vault, and overall I pretty much helped my team in most of them. I was in like relays and stuff, and I was usually in the top 8 in long jump. So.
All right, and then long jump, another one. That's my favorite event to take pictures of because you get the sand that just kicks up, and those make for some cool pictures. But Gabby's
my
like,
face is always like
yes,
really bad in them though.
I do get a lot of complaints. Girls are like, "Why did you use that picture?" I said, "Well, look, it's really cool," and they're like, "But look at my face." I'm like, "Well,"
True.
But yes, I get it. And then the sprints, how do you do there?
I'd say like a little above average sometimes. Some days. Yeah.
Good. And you know, in the CVC in general, and I think the Northeast District, there's so much competition, but how does that help you just to know that you're being pushed and chased, and you really got to increase your times and your heights and your distances to really compete? How does that help?
It helps a lot. I know like the CVC is definitely one of the like best conferences to be in. Just like watching people run, there's such a large gap. Like seeing people like yesterday at one of our meets. Was it yesterday? Was our meet? Yeah. There was this girl that just like blew right by me in the 200. I was like, and you just watch me. You're like, oh, you have to stay with them, and it just pushed you a ton.
I go back like cross country, like Ella Gilson and some of the other Hawken girls. And it's like, it's so easy to say, your coaches will say, hey, stick by them and you'll do well. It's like, well, that's a lot easier said than done. So yeah, like the girl that blew by you, coach can say, hey, stick with her and you'll be all right. But it's like, coach, sticking with her is a little bit harder than that.
True.
What do you find is like the biggest challenges coming out and competing in track?
I'd say maybe like the mental aspect, definitely. Some people think like it's just like endurance or speed, but like more like for like the longer ones, or I'd say for a field event like pole vault, it's definitely a mental aspect, trying to get over and thinking I can do this, and you just have to push through. Like when you get tired, you have to keep going instead of just like slowing down and going at like your leisure pace almost.
The weather challenges that mental toughness too, right? You get sometimes like yesterday it's cold even though the sun was out, but you know, most track meets that I've ever covered, it's raining, it's cold, it's windy.
Yes.
So you're dressed up in your hoods and blankets, and then you have to go run. And then toward the end of the season, it's so hot, and you know your body hasn't adjusted to that temperature yet. So how do you overcome those external issues you have to deal with?
I don't know. I don't know, you just warm up a lot. You have to keep your body warm the whole time. When I'm cold, I definitely do a lot worse. Like your muscles start freezing up and everything. So I feel like you just have to stay like positive and like just encourage yourself pretty much through it and be like, you can do this and everything.
So you said you were inspired by the previous pole vaulter. Is there someone that you're kind of passing down your passion for the event? Or you're it?
No, we have more. There's a large group this year. Like compared to last year, there was pretty much only like one other girl, vaulter Emmy. She graduated. But we have like 8 girls now who vault. So there's a lot.
That's a lot of depth.
Yeah, there's a lot of younger ones that have come up that I'm just starting to get to know. The 2 main ones that I know are Ava Sartini and Lily Sheeman. They're the sophomores. So.
All right. And then my last question for you, I'll give you 2. So the first one is, give me your individual goals. What are you hoping to accomplish this year? And then the last one is, who's going to be a breakout athlete? Not counting anyone at the table, but just who's your breakout athlete, your prediction?
Ooh, okay. My goals are definitely to make it to states again this year. I'm hoping to get in the top 8. Last year I got 12th, and I want to go around 12 feet or definitely higher. I'm definitely hoping to help my team, not just in like field events, but as I said, like in sprints and stuff. My breakout athlete, I'd say Sydney Park.
Okay.
I love her.
Volleyball player, basketball player, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, Liv, you're up. Go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us what grade you're in and what events you're going to compete in.
My name's Liv Reese. I'm in 12th grade. I'm more of a short distance runner, but during indoor, I started running the 800, and I like that a lot. And then I also picked up pole vault as well.
Pole vaulters. I admire pole vaulters, but I still think they're nuts. But
it's a little scary. I'm not gonna lie. The first few times I had my eyes closed, and I was coming down. So.
All right, so I'm going to ask, because it's one thing I've always wondered. Like, when you start pole vaulting, coaches aren't saying, "Okay, just run," and you're not like. Are you like practicing on a little mat like down here? You just kind of jump and land on your head on purpose?
Start on like the normal pit. You just start with like shorter steps and not going over any like bungees or anything. You like do drills where you land like your butt, your back, your side, your stomach, and then you kind of work your way back to further steps. And then the further you get back, the higher you can go typically.
I'd have to wear a football helmet, wrap myself in bubble wrap, and then still practice on like a mat on the ground and just kind of jump. But I don't have that fearless nature that pole vaulters have. I'm more of keep my feet on the ground and let me ride in a golf cart around the track. That's my mentality. But so talk about your success last year and how you kind of plan to build off of that this year.
Last year I competed a lot in the 4x2, the 4x1, and 4x4. So I'm hoping to lower my times on those this year and focus on the 200 a lot more. Compared to last year, I've already seen a lot more improvement. My endurance has gotten a lot better from indoor, and we had a really great indoor season, so I'm really looking forward to this outdoor one as well.
All right, so you mentioned a bunch of relays. Who do you run with? Mention your teammates.
Okay, so Sydney Park, Renee Tetlow, Gabby Selman, those are a few. I can't even think right now. There's so many.
And they're all multi-sport athletes. I like it.
Lily Sheeman, she runs the 4x1 with me. We had Alexis Howell yesterday in our 4x1. Kenna Ferrante, she was a big standout yesterday in our sprinter med. She ran a really great 400, so she finished that off really well.
All right. I have to mention, since I just thought about it, is none of the track teams have complained to me yet that I don't have any track decorations on there. I don't have a baton laying around at home. I have baseballs and softballs, and Jen gave me a couple tennis balls, but I'm going to have to get like a baton just to throw. I was going to put my shoe out there last week, but I didn't think anybody wanted that on the table. So. All right, so talk about your goals for this year. What are you hoping to accomplish?
I want to be an all-county champion. I want us all to have a patch on our lettermans, so I'm really hoping that we can get there.
You guys do that, right? There's a Ashtabula County. I was talking with tennis. I love that Ashtabula County is so invested in their sports that they do like basketball, all-star games, things like that, and then they have the all-county meets. I really like that about Ashtabula County.
Those are always my favorite ones.
Yep, and it's nice because, like you said, it builds that. There's that competitive nature, the rivalry, but also it it helps develop and inspire kids to compete. It's fun. I like that Ashtabula does that. I hope Jaga and Lake kind of follow suit and do something similar. But go ahead, back to you. I love to interrupt and then let you pick up where you left off and you forget, and it's like. All right, so who's your breakout athlete? Who do you think's going to make some noise this year?
On the boys' side, definitely Donnie Shimsky. He's been like a key aspect already. Girls-wise, Renee Tetlow for sure.
Okay. And do you have a favorite event?
Probably the 200.
And why is it?
Because you have time to I accelerate, but it's not very fast at first. So the 200, I'm able to pick up speed, and since I ran cross country for the last few years, I have a lot more endurance, so I can hold that speed for the whole 200. So.
Good. All right, Kennedy, I think this is your, 6th or 7th media day? Is that?
It's my second.
Seems like so many.
Yeah, so many years.
It is, and so many sports. That's great to see. That's what I like about track, and that you just have multi-sport athletes, and you don't see too many that are just always track or always volleyballers. I like it about that, so it's good. And I think in track, playing all those other sports helps develop you, so that's good. All right, Kennedy, I know you're a senior. What events and what are you looking to accomplish this year?
I am definitely not a pole vaulter like I used to, but I do shot and disc. I'm a thrower. I'm really hoping to just get some more distance on both shot and disc this year.
What did you do last year? Regionals? Did you get to regionals?
No.
Districts. You were at districts.
Yeah.
And did you place? Top
No.
8? No? Close?
I am not sure.
And what kind of progress have you made from last year to this year?
So last year, I think I ended the season high 90s in disc, 30, low 30 in shot. And then this year, our first meet was yesterday, and I threw 100 in disc and 30 in shot. So
PRs on both?
Start. For disc, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with the weather, baseball and softball have been kind of wiped out, but track, you guys haven't had anything canceled, right? Or have you?
We had a dual meet canceled on last Wednesday.
Okay. But it was nice to get out, and so throwing the disc the way you did, how satisfying was that?
It was great. It was my first throw that day, so to just get a high mark was good, and then to continue with stronger throws after that was good to get a good throw out of the way.
For a thrower, what's your training plan? Like, how do you go, distance running, you have to go out and run forever, but you can't just keep throwing nonstop. You've got to do some other training.
So we run at practice most days, short distance, sprints mostly, and then we will throw. We lift a good amount, and we work on form a lot, and then actual throwing is about half of our practice.
What is your style in the disc? I've seen the throwers that do the whole spin thing. I've seen some that just kind of rock back and throw. What do you like to do?
I start warming up. I do all of it. I work my way up, and then when I'm actually throwing, I will do the full spin, or if I'm not having the best day, I'll do a half.
Is there a technical name for the spin, or you just call it a spin?
It's just a spin.
All right, so now I know. Now I don't have to say spin around. Okay, so now I know. And then shot, same way? I mean, there's just a couple of steps involved there, right?
You can either glide or spin.
Oh, glide. That's a new term I'm going to use.
Yeah,
okay.
I glide. I'm not technical with the spin yet for shot, but
I'm not coordinated enough to spin or do any. I just have to kind of stand there and do it.
Yeah, so same thing. I work my way up from standing to the full glide.
All right. Who are some of the other throwers we're going to hear about?
Haley Venus, Alyssa Palmisano, Anissa Rosales.
She's a softball player too, Alyssa.
Yes,
okay.
she is. And then Abby Tagle and Katie Maribel.
Okay.
And then we have a bunch of boys, all ages. There's so many of them.
I think Geneva track has always attracted a lot of kids. Why is that? And I'll ask you, Coach, later, but from a player's perspective or athlete's perspective.
We have so much fun every single day. The coaches make it great. I know running isn't everyone's favorite thing to do, but it all works out. And I mean, being with all the kids is great. You get to make friends with new kids, just people that you wouldn't have talked to through the year.
And I know, Coach, from cross country, like when your son was there, that group, they were always having fun at the meets. And I don't know if it was part of their routine or whatever. They just seemed like they got along well. And so I know that you guys have developed that culture. Is that the way that you see it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's like, it's not an individual sport, but it kind of is. You got to find the balance between individual and team. And the team aspect is great. You get to have a lot of fun. Meets are long, so you're there together for a pretty big chunk of the day.
They are long. All right, and who's going to be your breakout athlete?
Other than Gabby and Liv, I would have to say Alyssa Palmisano. Yesterday, she just threw 33.6 in shots, pretty far.
So that's probably bad news for anyone trying to steal second base on her.
Yeah, probably.
All right, Coach, who wants to go first? All right, we'll go back to Coach Jason on the left. Coach, go ahead and fill in the blanks. Girls kind of talked a little bit about, some of their individual events and some of the girls that are going to run with them, some of the other pole vaulters. But who are the athletes that have kind of impressed you so far this season?
They named Sydney Park. Renee Tetlow, she's a distance runner, and she's been running 300 hurdles. In indoor, I kind of had her do a lot of things that she wasn't comfortable with, even shorter races. But, there are a number of girls that they've just bought in, and they are the next coming wave of the girls that will be setting here next year. As far as the boys go, the same way, like Connor Boland is a standout. He kind of broke out last year really well, and watching Connor run, it's one of those things, like, it just looks beautiful, and every time he does it, it's more impressive. It's just one of those. You never get tired of watching. I told him the one day, I never get tired of watching him, win a race. So you have probably 10 to 15 boys that can fill in that way also. Our relays, nobody's stuck in one spot on a relay. I try to change them around so that they get a taste of being third, being fourth, being first, until you find the right mix. And, we've won that next man up status of, if someone's not there or sick or can't be there, the next person fills in and tries to, they're definitely going to try their hardest because that's what they do.
Talking about the relays in particular, how important is it to have that order? You can't just say, hey, you're going to be first, you're going to be... I mean, there's a different mentality for each position in that relay, right?
Yeah, especially like in the CVC, it's so competitive. And you almost need to pay attention to what that relay is and sometimes kind of guess what the other teams are doing against you, to win that, like who they're going to anchor. So, and the mentality is, do you think that girl or boy is strong enough mentally to go up against that other girl or boy,
Right.
And
that's why it's
sometimes,
and that's why it's important to mix it up a little bit in those weekday meets, especially just to see who's going to have that
so
killer instinct.
All get a taste of it,
right?
And they, like you said, someone's not there, they can fill in and feel confident in their part.
Right. So from your perspective, which one's most important? Is it more important to get the early lead, or is it more important to have that the anchor that can chase somebody down?
It's always good to have a good starter. Your second person needs to keep up with what's gone on in any of those relays. You can run the third one a little weaker, and then the fourth one has to be strong and real type A personality most of the time.
Yes. Yeah, the type A that nails it. I think you have to have that killer instinct, and that's what I love. Like especially the 4. Everyone loves the 4x4, and most people will tell you they like it because it's exciting. But I think most people like it because it means you're going home soon, and it's been a long day, and But it is a lot of fun. But yeah, everyone all eyes are on that relay in particular, and so the anchor lap is fun to watch. But yeah, you need to have somebody that's ready to. Hey, we're behind, and I'm going to do everything I can to chase that person down, and it's fun.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody just blowing you away so far that that hey, there's they surprised me from what they've shown in the preseason?
We had a really successful indoor season, and so it's kind of been ongoing, and it's been building. So I can't single out one person. Kennedy did very well in weight throw, so she went to the New Balance Nationals. She fails to mention.
That's a
those
new
kind of-
event I learned
that-
about at the last media
yeah,
day, the weight throw.
You know, so that helped her, I think, in the long run mentally, you know, to where I think the senior year she's going to have is going to be really good.
We don't talk much about the winter track season, obviously, because we're here talking about the outdoor season, but how, like the winter season, there's so much less pressure.
Seems like there would be.
Right, but I mean, you still want to go out and win and do all the.
Yeah.
But when you think about, you know, terms of, oh, I want to go to state, you know, the winter state doesn't carry quite as much prestige as the outdoor state,
Yeah,
but
right.
but it's an important time for
Unless
an
you're
athlete.
in that, you know.
Right.
I've seen a lot of nerves that day.
Yes,
you know,
and not
eyes are
saying,
real big
not
and-
saying that they're not nervous or want to win or anything, but just how important is it for them to carry over any success that they had, where there's a little bit less pressure to the
That's
outdoor.
huge. And it goes against the kids that play basketball, and they're coming in as these guys are riding high. You
Right.
know, the ones that competed, they're at their top point of it, and they're super excited, in ultimate shape. So
Yeah, and
it's
that's
a little
where-
harder for those ones that maybe didn't do a sport in
Right.
the winter. You know, they're playing catch up at that point.
Yeah,
so.
we just had Beechwood here a couple teams before you, and we were talking, you know, they had a lot of success in the winter season, and all the kids were like, yeah, I just want to build off that. So yeah, I mean, it plays a big role, even though, like you said, or like I said, is, you know, there's not quite as much pressure because it's not, you know, the OHSAA sanctioned thing, but you still want to win and do all those, and it can really help you, you know, carry over into the spring season.
What's
So
good about those indoor meets too is some of the rest of the country can come to some of those things.
Right.
So it's like you may see some of the fastest people you'll ever see in your life till, you know.
Anytime
Might
you
not
can
be at
compete, it's good.
Might
Yeah.
not be at state level, but you know they're coming from multiple states away.
Yep.
You know, and that I think shows the kids what they can do and what. Okay, wow, I'm going to look up to that person and try to push that hard. You know.
Yep.
You know, we're in a tough state. Ohio is a tough state for track. You know, one because you battle the weather, but I don't know if it's genetics or what it is. This area is tough. You know, so it's hard to compete.
All right. From your perspective, what's your goal for the season?
To get some of these girls back to states, you know, and just do as best we can in all of our, you know, invitational meets. Try to place as high on the podium as possible. As far as the whole mentality group, we always try to PR. Just have that PR index rise every meet to where you're not plateauing, you're rising the whole way. You know, even if, you know, you may not be the best or, you know, the top person in your group, you can still look back and be like, well, I threw this when I came out day one, and I, you know, or I ran this, and this is what I run now. That's, you know, a big improvement.
All right. Coach Long, back to you. Through cross country, through track, you always have competitive teams. You've developed a culture around both cross country and track. What has been the key to that success?
Like you said, they just have fun together. I mean, I allow them to be goofy for a little bit, and then like, hey, all right, come on, guys, it's time to work. And like Coach Dalton said, they've all bought in right now. So I think they saw the fun that we had during indoor. They saw the success we had. And so we probably have our highest numbers that we've had in a few years that came out this year because the other kids saw that and they're like, they want to be a part of it. So, and if you've ever seen any of Liv's videos that she puts together, I mean, she just captures the fun that they have at all these meets. And sometimes I wonder where I'm at when some of the things are going on. I'm like, I don't remember that. But yeah, the culture between these, just even watching them as they're talking to you and seeing how they're looking at each other and reacting to each other's comments, it just shows that the team unity that they have, and the boys fit right along in with them. So, yeah, I think that's the biggest part is they just have fun doing what we're doing.
And I see it here, just, you know, like between last week and this week, most of the kids come out, they're a little bit nervous, a little bit timid, you know, some are a little bit more confident. These guys are having a great time. They're laughing and giggling. I mean, this is,
they are.
And if that translates to the track, then, you know, it explains a lot of that success. And
Absolutely. And they were all very humble with what they said about themselves. They're all way stronger and more competitive than what they said they were. Like, Gabby definitely stayed. Liv says she's not a distance runner, that she's just a sprinter, but she did run cross country. So when you see her in an 800 as well, don't be surprised by that. And Kennedy not even mentioning herself, that she made it to nationals. I mean, it's just showing
That's all.
what they are as individuals. So our success is just going to be amazing for both the boys and the girls because of their attitude and their demeanor. So pretty exciting.
Well, it's all about having fun, and I think they've got that captured pretty well, so that's good. Who are your breakout athletes? Who do you think is going to shine this year?
You know, we have like I said, we have a lot of young kids, so I'm not really sure. We're just sort of playing on where to put them in, what events to put them in. So I really don't want to say yet. I think it's going to be an exciting season, though.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you all making the long trip out here to your home school. Thanks for joining us here at Media Day. Wish you the best of success. I will see you guys at several meets this year. So always like your squads, like I said, your cross-country teams always had fun. Love watching them. And, your kid in particular was just one of those hard-nosed competitors that you like to see. I always enjoyed interviewing him. And Gabby, I look forward to seeing you catapult yourself, hurl yourself through the air. Kennedy, I'll see you around too. I love the throws. Easy to get pictures of those people. Liv, don't run too fast. I don't want blurry photos. So, I'll do my best. But thanks for coming out. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Best of luck. That was your Geneva Eagles track teams here at the CVC Spring Sports Media Day. Up next, we've got the Edgewood boys and girls. Looks like the girls are here first, so we'll take them. If boys can join too, however you want to do it. And they brought props. I like when they bring props. Is this boys and girls or just girls? The boys aren't coming, I guess. Okay. Because Coach Sanchez having back issues. Okay. See, now the track teams can't be mad. We actually have a track prop. I was just talking to Geneva about that. Nobody had complained yet, but last week I didn't have tennis or track, and I don't have any track props at home. Like I said, I was going to put my shoe on the table, but I didn't think anybody wanted that. So, but yeah, glad you brought a prop. That's outstanding. Coach, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself and the athletes you brought with you, and then we'll start asking those hard questions. You want to slide in just a tiny bit there? Perfect. All right, go ahead, Coach.
I'm Steve Hill, head girls coach at Edgewood High School. I have with me Josie Measle, a junior who does long jump and relays. I have Maddie Crooks, a freshman who does distance, and Sarah Coxon, who is our thrower.
Okay. Give us an elevator pitch. What can we expect out of the Warriors this spring?
Well, we're definitely excited about the beginning of our season. We finished second at the Red Raider relays yesterday. So that was a big first step for us. We're a fairly young group. We lost our two MVPs to graduation. So we're building around a young core of people. These two juniors and freshmen are the core of what our new program's about. We're just hoping to be competitive. This was a pleasant surprise from the beginning of the season for our first meet. And we're just hoping that once we get down to the postseason at all county, CVC districts, hopefully regional, we can be competitive with some of those other schools.
All right, we're going to start. We'll go right from your left. That is Josie, a junior. Josie, go ahead and just tell us what events we can see you running this spring.
I mainly focus on long jump, so that's like my favorite event, but I do the 4x1 and I do the open 100 and the 200 too.
What kind of success did you have last spring?
Last spring I mainly had most of my success in long jump because most of our seniors last year were super fast and they were our MVPs and stuff. And so I'm excited to see what opportunities will present themselves now that I can do the 100 and stuff.
Okay, let's start with the long jump. One of my favorite events as a photographer. I love getting the sand kicking up, and we were just talking with Geneva. A lot of the girls don't like it because their faces, and I get a lot of complaints like, "Why did you use that picture?" But they're great pictures. It's a great event to capture some great shots. But what do you like about the long jump?
I like how it. I don't know. I like how you can like I like the sand. I don't know. It's weird, but like I like being able to like know that I'm not gonna get hurt when I'm jumping into the sand. Like, 'cause with the high jump, like it's like scary with the bar and stuff. Like I know, like how with the long jump you can like the cushion at the end and stuff.
And I'll never understand the high jump.
Yeah.
I can't run and jump like that, but then you see these people that run and jump and they're like clearing. It's crazy. It's
like backflips in the air.
yes, it's incredible athleticism. But so how do you? What are your goals as far as long jump? I mean, you obviously want to go further and further every time you jump, but how do you train for that? And what are you looking to accomplish this year?
My goal this year is to jump 15 feet, and what we kind of do to like practice that is like work on our speed, like because the faster you can get down and like if you have like a powerful takeoff, you'll go farther. So I'm just trying to work on getting faster and like really like driving out off of the board and stuff.
And is the key the speed, or is it the power from jumping off that foot?
I think they both play a part in the success of long jump because you're not gonna go anywhere if you're just running towards it. Like you have to be able to like explode off of the board and stuff. So I think working on both of those things like equally will like bring success.
And then what about in the air? I mean, you guys are way too young. Coach, you might remember. Do you remember like Nintendo had that track game and you could do the long jump and you had to get the angle just right? You remember that, right? You guys don't know anything about that, right? You have to go on, Google it, and what was it called? NES Track or something? And you can actually play that game on your computer, but it's the same thing. You got to like hit the button to run really fast, and then you got to press the button to get the right angle.
You gotta time it right.
Yeah, so that's where I learned all my knowledge about track was on that game. So it's always hitting the button, run faster. Right. So it's all about the fingers. I don't know why everyone runs and does all that. Just use your fingers. But, all right, let's talk about your speed. What's your favorite running event?
I like the 100 because the 200 is something I'm trying new this year because one of my coaches said to like get better at other events, you have to like be able to run another event to like, so like in order to get better at the 100, he said to run the 200. And so that's why I'm trying the 200 this year.
All right, and you run some relays too?
Yeah, I do the 4x1, and then yesterday at the relay meet, I did the sprint medley too.
And who do you run with? Who are your teammates in those relays?
Lily Grace Allenbaugh, Destiny Rivera, Paige Brockway, and I'm trying to think who else. That's about it. Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
Where are you at in the relay? Anchor,
I'm usually
lead?
the second spot. I can run the back pretty well. Like most of my teammates like running the curve because they like in their minds it's like shorter. Like to like run the curve like the straightaways look like way longer. So like okay, I'll do that one. And so.
And is it true? I mean, does it feel longer?
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, like when you're on the track looking at it, like the curve appears to be shorter, but it's really not. Like, 'cause
I mean, it's the same distance, but it's it's a mind game.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. The mentality that you have to have as the lead runner and the anchor and the two in between, is that different?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of adrenaline that comes with being the anchor, like, 'cause you're like trying to like give your team like a strong like finish, and like being like the starter, like you have to like get out of the blocks with like the baton in your hand, and that always like scares us 'cause you don't want to like drop it when you're coming out of the blocks. But yeah.
All right. And then what kind of goals do you have for the season, just individually and then also as a team?
I think individually, I definitely want to place at all county and go farther into like districts and regionals. And as a team, we're hoping to get first at all county.
All right. Excluding anyone at the table, who are the breakout athletes we're going to see from Edgewood this year?
Breakout athletes?
Don't look at your coach. It's not an open book test.
I think Lily Grace Allenbaugh has a lot of potential. She's super fast. Yeah.
All right. Maddie Crooks, let's go to you, and I'm going to tell a little story about Maddie Crooks. She doesn't know this, but Coach will remember. But at CVC Fall Sports Media Day, Coach is telling me about his team, and he said, oh, and we've got this freshman, Maddie Crooks. And then the first meet of the year happened, and then I can't remember if I emailed or texted, and I said, you weren't lying about Maddie Crooks. And it's, I think you finished second or something like that to maybe the Hawken girl or something like that, just with a really sick time. But so his introduction to Maddie Crooks proved to be true, and you had a great freshman season in cross country. So obviously you want to build off that. How excited are you for your first track season?
I'm pretty excited.
What did you learn as a freshman running cross country and having success that's going to help you in track?
I learned that like you have to stay mentally strong, because like you can be really fast, but if you aren't mentally strong and like go through the pain, then you're not going to do well.
My son was a distance runner, and he was one of those kids that all along, growing up, he played soccer, and I kept saying, oh, you should try cross country, and he never wanted to do it. And freshman year, I was just joking with him. I said, oh, cross country practice is going to start next week, and he's like, oh, I was thinking about it. And it kind of shocked me, and I was like, oh, well, so what is keeping you from running? And he's like, well, I don't like the shorts. He didn't want to wear the really short shorts. And I was like, dude, you can wear, the spandex underneath. And he's like, oh, I can. And so he did, and he ran cross country for 4 years. He loved it, developed some great friendships. He runs every day now in college, and it's just like he developed that little, mental toughness. And so, as runners, I think you have to have it. But, yeah, definitely. So you're going to run distance 16 and 32, or?
I didn't sign up to do the 32, but I signed up to do the 800 and 1600.
Okay. Why not the 32?
I mean,
Besides the obvious.
I can try it, but like I just remember in middle school the cross country meets are 2 miles, and like I could never I felt like I could never just like pace myself right. Like I would go out way too fast in the first mile, and then I'd be like slow in the second mile. So I'm sure I'm probably better at it now, considering
Right.
I had to run 5Ks for high school. But
2 miles on a cross country course is a lot different than 2 miles in a little circle. That's what my son always said, is he hated it, not because of the distance, but it's just so boring running in that little circle. So, all right, so 800 and 1600, 2 different races. How do you approach each? I mean, like 800, you've got to go out faster and run faster longer, as opposed to 16, where you can kind of pace yourself a little bit, right?
yeah.
So what's your strategy going to be?
Well, I wasn't really sure. Yes, we had our first meet yesterday, and I wasn't really like sure how to approach it. So the 800, I think I just have to like get out fast, but not too fast, because I would have a habit of that last year, like going out in the first lap at like a minute and like 8 seconds, and then the next one would be a lot slower, and then like it just wasn't even. In the mile, I just need to get more comfortable with running like a mile super fast again, because I'm not quite used to that yet.
When you look at and you tasted it a little bit in cross country, where the CVC has some great distance runners, and then just Northeast Ohio in general has some great distance runners. So the competition is going to be there. How much does that help you when you know you're going to be pushed and chased and probably have, 1 or 2 girls out in front of you?
It helps a lot, because it like helps you like not slow down. Like if you know someone's chasing you, or that person's just like 2 steps ahead, like keeps you motivated to keep going faster, and it's more fun knowing you have people to go against.
So being your first, I assume you ran track in middle school?
Yeah.
Okay. So being your first high school track season, nerves, or are you just going in confident because of the success you had at cross country?
Like a mix of both, kind of, because the ending of cross country season didn't really go well for me, but I'm like nervous because yesterday I didn't do great, but I didn't do terrible, so I'm just hoping it gets better. That's really.
From a team perspective, how exciting was it to bring home some hardware?
It was pretty exciting. I thought, since yesterday was freezing cold out, like I think everyone was really nervous. It's good to know that we had a good start.
All right. And who are going to be the breakout athletes from your perspective? Can't mention anyone at the table. Got to be someone different.
True. I think Caroline Nelson will do really good this year. Do I have to say a boy too?
Yeah, you can say anyone you want.
I think Monica Hamalainen will do really good too.
Okay.
And Tammy Liplin.
All right. And then individually, what are your goals? What are you hoping to accomplish as a freshman?
I'm hoping I can at least make it to regionals in like the mile or the 800, just one of those two events. And I just want to stay healthy because towards the end of cross country season, I'm pretty sure I had COVID and my legs weren't feeling the best. So it just wasn't good for me. So I just don't want that to happen again.
I don't want it to happen either. I hope you stay healthy. All right, Sarah, you're up. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what event you're going to run. Or you're the thrower, so you're going to throw.
This year I'm really just focusing on like shot and disc. I'm really just focusing on shot and disc, and I was going to possibly consider running again, but I've had quite a few injuries due to sports, so I'm trying to focus on the ones that I've really had success in this year.
And what did you accomplish last year?
Last year, for shot and disc, I made it to regionals, and that was like the first time that I've made it at a high school level to an upper level like meet that really depended like it.
You had to
very
qualify
important
for it. Yeah.
Qualifying, and I just got in my head and I didn't do the best at those meets.
It happens. But now that you have that experience, how much more confidence do you have that, next time you get there, you'll be able to push those nerves aside and compete your best?
I really feel like I could have success this year. Now that I've had a taste of it, I know what I'm doing. I have that confidence at a high school level now, and I feel like I could really go somewhere this year.
What are your PRs?
Right now for shot put, my PR is 39 feet and change. I don't know the exact. And then for disc, I just PR'd yesterday at our first track meet, and I got 104 feet and 3 inches.
Oh, nice. What place did you finish?
I finished first individually for discus and second for shot put.
So your PRs are up where you need to be to win meet. I like it. All right. And how do you progress? How do you build off of that?
Right now, I just came off a pretty intense injury, so I'm just focusing on like getting my mobility back and getting that explosive strength. So like that's why I wanted to go a little bit back into running, because even though they say that like throwers don't need to run that much, it's really important for that like explosion in your throwing to have those like good sprints. And like the 100, I used to do the 4x1 in middle school, and like doing events like that will really help with like your strength and explosion with throwing.
I always feel bad for the throwers because like, in the track, you've got all the fans and the bleachers, the throws, and sometimes the long jump and stuff like that. You're always pushed off to the side, and you have a few a few fans out there. But yeah, you guys, but it's fun to watch. I enjoy the throws. And what's your favorite event?
Obviously throwing for me, but I really love watching like the 4x1 and like the 100s because they're such like a short distance. It's like really exciting. And same with like long distance, that like last stretch, it's so like intense to see those people break away, and it's really fun to watch.
That it is. And I just like seeing them finish it because it's so like watching that 2 mile, that is so long, and I feel so bad for some of these kids. Like you remember watching like Ella Gilson, she'll finish like a lap ahead of everybody else, and then here comes everyone. And Ella's like on her warm or cool down run already. It's like that's just sick. But there are some really good runners in the conference and throwers. I don't know that we've had. Maybe you know a little more. Have we had the state champion caliber? Yeah, I know we've had like some pole vaulters that have been state champs or you're up there and high jump and long jump, but I think you might have to be the trailblazer. Yeah. Sound good? All right, so same question I asked everyone else. Who's your breakout athlete? Who do you think is going to make a name for him or herself this year?
For running, I think like Lily Grace. She's really fast. I feel like she's going to get out there. And then for throwing, I think Taylor Varninsky. She's going to really come out. This is like her first year throwing, and she's already up there like in that second spot. Like yesterday was her first track meet, and she got third in disc. She threw amazing, and I feel like she's really going to have success with this year.
Excellent. All right, Coach, back to you to fill in some gaps. We heard a lot about the girls here at the table, and they mentioned some breakout athletes, but who's impressed you so far early in the preseason and then obviously after one meet?
Yeah, so some of the names that they mentioned, I think with our sprinters, again, as Josie said, we lost a lot of seniors last year in those events. I think our 4x1 and 4x2 were 4 seniors last year. So we're filling in totally new people with that. So with Josie and Lily Grace Allenbaugh, and again, one of the things to mention is like with these 2 juniors, last year was their freshman year of track. I mean, they lost their freshman year of track. So, you know, for them being juniors, this is really only their sophomore season of competing at this level. So kudos to them for all they're able to accomplish. So, you know, we're trying to fill those spots. Again, as I heard Coach Long say, we were supposed to have a meet during the spring break on Wednesday, and we didn't. So we're still trying to piece together. We're the only school in the county without an all-weather track, so we didn't get that opportunity to walk outside every day and get times or handoffs and things like that. So, you know, we're a little bit behind on all that. Yesterday was our first day to really get on there and compete. You know, mid-distance wise, again, we have a nice, strong group. She mentioned Caroline Nelson and Monica Hamalainen, 2 seniors who were hoping to have big years this year. And then with Maddie and Tammy Liplin, who had a breakout year in cross country, they're going to be our core at the mid to long distance. We had 2 pole vaulters, Grace Deegan and Morgan Haywood, clear height yesterday, which in the weather was just an accomplishment itself. So, you know, we're hoping that they can keep improving. Our long jumpers led by Josie, you know, high jumpers, we had one on vacation this week. So we're hoping Hannah Tallbecka has a good year. And then Maya Page cleared a height and individually finished 3rd. So that was great for her. So, you know, we're really just trying to build a core group of middle-classmen who can take us to the next level in the next year or 2.
Obviously, going out the first meet and taking home a trophy, that kind of raises the bar a little bit, right? It's like, you know, you didn't go out and place 8th, you went out and placed 2nd. Now you got to kind of raise the bar to finish a little bit higher. How's that going to happen?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it was really exciting for the kids because we had no idea that we were even in the running. And we were waiting for the individual awards they announced. And so they were all waiting on the bus for me, and I came carrying it in. And they were all excited. So that was.
So they didn't even get to celebrate down there.
They didn't. No. We let the celebrating to Geneva. But we'll celebrate on Monday when we get back together. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a positive thing for us that we can move forward and you know, be competitive with some of these teams you know, that we saw, and hopefully it'll bring a lot of energy into these next couple of weeks.
Any breakout athletes for you? Anyone you expect to kind of rise to the challenge this year?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a couple of those girls, we're really going to count on Lily Grace Allenbaugh to kind of be the leader of the sprints. You know, Tammy Liplin, like I said, had a breakout year in cross country, so she's really coming around, and she'll be a good complement to Maddie. And then this Taylor Wisnowski, you know, she's in her first year of throwing for us, but, you know, she's very competitive, and I think she'll follow Sarah into a good position. So if we can get, you know, 2 good athletes, obviously we want some depth too, but, you know, in the invitationals that we go to and we have 2 athletes only, you know, if we can be just strong in those 2, you know, we can be competitive.
All right, and last one is, how are you going to define success this year? Is it a certain number getting to state? Is it winning a state title or a conference title?
I think a lot of it's just going to be individual, you know, talking about personal bests and things like that, whether it's 15 feet or trying to get 40 feet or, you know, break school records like Maddie likes to do, you know, whatever that might be. I think if we have a lot of individual success, that'll speak for itself down the road. Obviously, as Josie said, we'd love to win all county. That was a big goal when I came here last year to coach. You know, Geneva's the standard by which we're chasing. So, you know, if we can just try to be competitive with them at that all county level. CVC, obviously, as you know, is very competitive. So, you know, individually, we're just going to try to get some good performances there and see how that goes. And then, you know, again, try to get as many kids down to regional as we can and have them experience that, and maybe a few get down to state that we have some potential even at this table to do. So I think a lot of it's going to be more individually than team. I mean, obviously the team trophies are nice, but individual goals are going to be our major concern.
Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you guys making the trip out here, you ladies and gentlemen. But appreciate it, and congrats on your hardware in the first meet. And like I said, now you can only go up, so you got to, well, not only go up, you know what I meant. You want to keep going up. So, okay. So next time I want a bigger trophy and bring that to the next media day, and sounds good. But thank you for coming out, and that's going to wrap up our CVC Spring Sports East Media Day. That's the Edgewood Warriors. Appreciate you guys being here, and good luck this spring. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here at Geneva, wrapping up our CVC Spring Sports Media Day, our East version. Next week, we will be out at Kirtland High School on Sunday, April 10th. Once again, we will start at 1 p.m., and we will roll through. I think we've got a pretty full day next week, so it'll be a long one. But enjoy doing these, and glad to highlight our CVC teams and athletes. Appreciate you tuning in. And once again, I want to thank our sponsor, Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery. Big shout out to Jen Crossley, who I know she's ready to go today. She's been out here, opened up the school for us early this morning to allow me to set up, and she's been here throughout the day. So big shout out to her and to Geneva for hosting. And once again, we will be out at Kirtland next week. And just to wrap things up, we're going to thank our sponsor, Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery. Thank you for all tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery diagnoses and treats facial pain and injuries, and also offers a full range of dental implants and bone grafting procedures. Look no further than the Ohio Center for Oral, Facial, and Implant Surgery for all of your oral surgery and cosmetic surgery needs. Please visit their website at www.ohsurgery.com.